Ladies and gentlemen,
Oh, hell no. Nope, I'm done with this.
oh, that was unnecessarily loud. You could have just asked me to leave.
Howdy, folks. Your host, Double J, back here, coming at you live for another Operation GCD Fridays. Once again, your host of Operation GCD, JJ Vance here. And more importantly, not the vice president. Anyhow, folks of the interwebs, I won't belabor the introduction here any further. We got a real barn burner here on deck for y'all tonight. It's a Exmo General Conference, if you will, with Heidi Luv, the host of Unfiltered Rise, and Jacob J, the host of Rise Liberty podcast. The dude is out there trying to out JJ me, and I'll have none of it, sir.
Well, you know,
Operation GCD for the first time, both y'all. Thanks for joining me, Gil GCD.
Of course, thank you.
Yeah, anytime. I am always glad when you have me on. And you know what? As far as the out JJ and thing, you know, I gotta try, man. I mean, look at you.
I can respect that. Sir. And you do a hell of a job at it. I like your style, sir.
Thank you, sir.
What's before I ask you what's new at Rise to Liberty, Heidi Luv, ma'am, how you doing? Good evening. And what's new at Unfiltered Rise podcast? Y'all doing a lot of rising out there in the land of Deseret. What's that about?
We're doing something out here. I don't know.
Right.
Oof. It's definitely interesting. That is for sure. We can see the cabal in full fledged. They're not even hiding anymore. So that's fun. I've just been busy looking at all the things. I kept my mouth shut for a long time on this. It's time to open it up and let it go. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of activity within the hierarchy of the mothership, you know, changing of the prophet, changing of the guard there. We got the Charlie Kirk business in the land of Deseret. So that is the Mormon land. You know, they started a new nation. You know, folks are not familiar. They started a new nation, and then they joined America later, about 4 decades later, about 1892. So I argue there's a lot of the problems that are currently plaguing parapolitics in America surrounding the Mormons, and have been for decades, as Heidi, you and I have documented quite a bit of in our parapolitical discussions. And Jacob J joined us in our last one here on Fridays, and appreciate you all joining me again here tonight to get a little GCD on these Mormon terms. You know, it is seemingly, though, it seems like these folks believe they live in the nation of Deseret still.
Well, they
not America.
took an oath. I mean, they took the oath of the Black Sticks and the Order of the Black Sticks. I don't think they were kidding. They bleed the beast. They lie, you know. So I'm just saying, I don't think anything changed.
Yeah,
I don't think so either, ma'am. I don't think so either.
I think,
Jay, sir, what's new at Rise to Liberty? And let's get some of your comments on that subject, please.
yeah. So, I mean, the biggest thing I was just telling you guys before we went live, I'm actually working on a pretty big article right now. It will be out this weekend, probably Sunday, knowing, you know, who I am as a person. But it's going over the Charlie Kirk situation and all of the psychological operation tactics that they're using. Exactly what they
holy
are.
Smokes, there's a lot of them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And here's the thing for me, as far as, you know, a writer of an article, none of them are new. They're all old. So, you know, they're super easy to lay out as far as that goes. But it also goes into...
That's always the same playbook, right? If I may. I mean,
Right.
That's kind of what I've been going over on the anatomy of the Satanic Panic, which is my
Yes, sir.
Thursdays programming here, but I missed last night. So it'll be Thursdays on Saturdays. Folks can check that out. Starring, you know, Saps to Mine More, everyone's favorite psychological operations U.S. Army warfare officer, Muppet Mikey Aquino. I argue
love that picture.
I'd like to see some documents that this man passed any special forces exams before I call him a Green Beret. Just saying.
Right. Yeah. So in the article, it also goes into, you know, a little bit about, you know, cult manipulation, some of these things that we need to be on the lookout for, and definitely ways to be able to protect yourself from it, because over on my channel, I'm all about solutions. You know, it's not just pointing out the problem. I also want to, you know, talk about things that we can actively do, and, you know, the average person, not like a millionaire or whatever, can do. Like, what can the average person do today to protect themselves? So yeah, that's the new thing. And as far as what's going on out here at Deseret, I mean, honestly, it's wild, because there's a lot of factions within the Mormon church. There's a lot of people
You
doing a
ain't kidding,
lot of
dude. And
things.
they're all dancing around this Kirk situation. Even Jason Shavitz is rearing his ugly head.
Right. I mean,
And
as far as I
if
know,
if
the
you don't-
LDS.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, it's just that the LDS Church of Satan is busy as ever too, because I mean, this was a massive human sacrifice filled full of all sorts of trauma, nation and worldwide. And the story of Kirk and his wife and kids being there, complete bullshit. That was just a lie. They weren't there at the event. But that was just
And
a
his
way.
folks weren't there at his funeral either. Or his little weird ceremony down there in that concert, the arena.
Right, down at the Arizona Cardinals Super Bowl arena. Yeah, they weren't there.
Strangely
As
enough,
far as I know,
can't find many pictures of his family, his folks in general. I can find one photograph of the family.
Yeah, and as far as I know, they haven't made any statements at all.
Precisely.
And then Erica Kirk wore white to the memorial. Like that didn't cross my mind initially, but I ended up looking up pictures.
Faux pas?
Well, I mean, she's supposed to be wearing black if she's a grieving widow.
I'm being facetious, sir.
Right.
I totally agree. No, the whole situation, as you're pointing out, I like to check out your series. It's great stuff, sir. It's
Yes, sir.
The psyops on psyops. There are numerous factions involved. It's pretty evident, as you're pointing out. For example, Shavitz there, the former congressman from Utah, and he's kind of was part of the whole Team Trump admin of the first administration, at least, portrayed himself as such publicly on Fox News, etc. His stepfather is Michael Dukakis.
Oh, I did not know that.
And Shavitz made all of his money in a multi-level marketing scheme because, those ancient alien cargo cultists, they love their multi-level marketing schemes.
Right. That's interesting.
Utah is full of those, let alone if they can't sell it that way, they'll just make a fake account, overseas. It's fine.
Right.
Don't worry about it.
I mean, that's why Sensi blew up around here. Everyone turned into a Sensi dealer.
That's what I'm saying, dude. They love that shit. And his was one of those makeup ones. I forget which one. He was like the VP of marketing for one of those multi-level marketing schemes.
Oh,
but he comes from a multi-generational family, and obviously Dukakis. He was never a legitimate presidential candidate. He was the fake presidential candidate there in what was that, 88?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, that's wild. I didn't know he was connected to Dukakis.
Yeah, his mother's been married to him for years. I want to say when he was younger, they were married, like when he was a teenager. I'll double check that. It is interesting because he's from Massachusetts, and obviously the Mormons have all the blue blood stuff heritage. But Shavitz is obviously they're of a Jewish heritage from Utah.
The Mormons are from Massachusetts.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't know what his heritage though. That'd be interesting to know what his heritage is and that blue blood nature of the Mormon. Obviously, Heidi and I are both, for example, descendants from John Lothrop. Everyone's descended from John Lothrop in the Mormon hierarchy and presidents and Jeffrey Dahmer, these kind of things.
Right. Yeah, that's wild. That is wild.
So many people. Like every time I
Shavitz converted. Okay, well there you go. Maybe that was the solution because I was going to say I'm pretty sure he maybe went to college out there. He's got some roots out there in some regard. I'd be interested to see what his background is. I just know his stepfather's Dukakis. I don't know why I know that. Don't ask me these questions, Jacob J. Don't ask these questions.
It's your headband.
Fair enough.
Your headband.
I get things beamed in there from the mothership.
Right. And if we don't know Huggy, you'll hook us up. Always knows.
My whole take on it's interesting that, again, the Mormon prophet changeover. Dude was a crypt keeper and died finally. That's interesting. The new
100 plus
fella.
Well, let's not forget on 666, right? 999 inverted is 666 927 2025.
There you go. So and again, everyone was there for the Kirk event, wasn't just Shavitz. And this Phil Lyman character, he's a very interesting character. So speaking of the psyops, all the interviews, all the videos, all the cameras from the house, with the alleged shooter walking by on the street, that's all from the Lyman family. They own the property where UVU sits. You're shaking your head, sir, as if you know these things, and I have no doubt you are both locals. I am not. I'm an East Coast Mormon, former ex-Mormon.
That's
a different variety out here.
You're still in the club.
I'm also
Bloodline.
kind of connected to Phil because of the political thing. I mean, he ran
I
for
was gonna
governor out
ask you that,
here.
'cause
And,
he made a legitimate run for Republican primary against Spencer Cox, who I'm
Yep.
pretty sure wears folks' skin as a human coat. You know, that's just my allegation. Spencer Cox.
I'm on that one.
Yeah,
I'm going to vote for that as well.
I would actually agree with that. And I mean, it was blatant that Cox stole it. I mean, the voter information, like even a 5-year-old could look at the voter information and completely understand that it was stolen. Like it's that obvious.
Oh, nice.
And so, I mean, Lyman does have a legitimate gripe as far as that's concerned, you know? So,
So
Governor
what's his
Cox and
background? He
Deidre
got pardoned by
Henderson-
Trump. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, just that Governor Cox and Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson both are just so blatant in their criminality, and they just don't give a shit. Period. So
Not anymore. They're putting it all on the out there. I said as before we rolled is, you know, they're just gonna put everything out there. Now they've got the new prophet. Went to University of Chicago, really hooked in with Chicago. We've got the new Pope, who's from Chicago, and I guess they're just gonna be like, yeah, bitches, we're from the Mormon Mafia. What's up?
Right.
Well, that's interesting because everything behind the whole machine behind Kirk is out of Chicago, including Kirk's family, including his wife's family.
Right. And I mean, there's a whole propaganda machine tied to Chicago as well. Plus, I mean, organized crime going all the way back before Al Capone, you know?
Well, and Al
So-
Capone ran the streets here in Utah.
Well,
Right.
Or
let's
shall I
talk
say
some
the
organized
understreet?
crime of the Lyman variety, if you may.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
again, there's multiple factions here, obviously, and again, this Lyman character is behind everything we see in the media on these psyops is Phil Lyman, and he got pardoned by Trump. If I'm correct, is that correct? Is that a correct statement? Or did he get commuted? What happened there?
I'm not 100% sure. I do know that he did get pardoned. And there was something to do with public lands and BLM. I'm not 100% sure, but he actually was a sitting politician at the time.
For the state.
Yeah, for the state.
Weird.
So-
So, I mean, it was a weird circumstance. I haven't got all the way into it, but the ins and outs I have looked at it's interesting.
Yeah. And here's the thing is, I mean, this here. Okay. So Phil, my personal experience with Phil is that, I mean, he is a solid guy. And he is honest. That's the one thing I can say for him.
Can you hold that thought, sir?
Yes, sir.
Just 1 second, please. My favorite AIC, I got Bill Colby Ball Washers here. Welcome to our channel. Thanks for your commentary being wrong as always. Made him a nice stinger there. Complete with the Muppet chorus.
RR channel. Also one of my favorite parts of showing up and doing your show.
He brings some entertainment. I couldn't pay someone
He does.
to be that silly.
He does. But yeah, now I'm not gonna, stake my reputation on him being the most honest person ever on the face of the planet, but my interaction with him is he's a straight shooter. Enough that I would trust him on a few things. And so I do find it interesting
Phil
that
Lyman.
Phil
Straight shooter.
Lyman. Yeah, on some things,
Well, no,
I
I
don't
mean, it's
know him.
interesting. Obviously, that like you said, there's factional stuff. He's obviously in one faction and a major part
Right.
of it.
Oh yeah, yeah. And well, maybe not him per se. Like I said, I don't know him well enough or his family, but his family for sure. Because they're huge. There's Lymans everywhere. And
You ain't kidding, dude. I grew up. One of my closest friends in the church growing up was a Lyman.
right. And
Hence,
so,
hence polygamy. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And here's
he's a
the
descendant
thing.
from this fella.
Right.
And his father was the first counselor for multiple bishops. Just to give some context to who these folks are.
Right.
Even in the ward I grew up with, this man's paternal descendants. He was one of the first counselors of Joseph Smith, one of his quorum of the 12 folks, one of his 12 apostle
Right.
guys.
And I mean, there's connections from what I understand from what he's, said about his family throughout all of this, because some of it kind of came up with Candace and stuff is, some of his family goes all the way back to England, and I'm sure there's all sorts of weird connections back there. But
You're looking at his ancestor, sir, right here.
right. So
he was one of the early Latter-day Saints out of, early, like one of the OGs, man. He's an early dude. Again, they still have weight. So the dude I grew up with, Boy Scouts, the Mormon Basketball Association, we won the Holy Grail twice, back-to-back years. That's that was the championship, I called it. They were real big in Mormons in Cincinnati were real big into basketball, real big. So,
I mean, every church has a basketball court.
Oh, so it was like that for you too?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
dude, hardcore, dude. And like they were like, you got to bring home the championship. I'm like, you guys got to be kidding me. I just get up here on Saturday mornings just for fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't appreciate me calling the championship trophy the Holy Grail neither. So I mean, you'll have that. You know what I mean?
That's so funny.
They typically didn't enjoy my commentary, including the coach, the assistant coach, who was a lineman. Again, he was the first counselor for multiple bishops, which usually they changed. They were the first counselor. But this dude had weight. And when he wasn't doing that, he was taking attendance. I'm like, no, they trust this guy. They got this guy's on, he's trustworthy for somebody. So that dude's they had like 14 kids, but one of them is working for the congressman out of Cincinnati, U.S. congressman. She's a staffer there. She has been for years.
I mean, that sounds right.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They're everywhere, right? These linemen, the Mormons, damn Mormons. Someone fed them after midnight. Got three former ones right here.
So what's interesting for anyone who doesn't know is there could be entire factions of linemen, and not all of them know each other. They could legitimately be the same family, cousins, second cousins, all of these, and not know each other. There's lots of my family that I don't know. So it's just the families are so big. Like not everyone's going to know each other. So when we are talking about the factions and stuff, that is something to keep in mind. Is it's so big. Like the families are huge. So it is. Yeah,
this Shaner Broderick character is a very interesting character. It's actually
Shaner.
He initially claimed as his nephew. From my estimations, it's his first cousin once removed.
Right. So, which is one of the things that he did correct, because everyone was saying nephew. Even Shaner, actually, from what I understand, said nephew. But Phil was the one that actually corrected everyone and said first cousin.
So, right. And then you have that dude his friends look suspiciously like those characters we see in the surveillance images. I have a clip from that. Yeah. And Candace Owens is running this campaign against Lyman, but her source is a staffer from Cox's campaign.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. There's it's very interesting dynamic playing out right now amongst all these things and the characters involved.
Well, there's just a bunch of spooky, glowy things going on over here. Like this is why I've tried to tell everyone Utah is the most important state that you're not paying attention to.
It's the hub, baby. And
it really
if you can't see it, it's because they're in the tunnels. So don't worry about it.
Is this the year of the tunnel again? We doing a repeat on that too? They've run out of ideas, huh?
They've got full tunnel access with cars.
I've seen the tunnels. They got some huge ones underneath Temple Square there, don't they?
Yes, they do. And
they don't even lie about it. Yeah,
no,
they're just like,
not at all.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, that's even come up in the Charlie Kirk thing, right? There's a bomb shelter underneath UVU, and there's that hatch that Charlie Kirk was sitting literally right next to. So, tunnels have come up even in the Charlie Kirk thing. So it's a big deal.
Well,
tunnels are a big deal.
I got a couple clips here to introduce folks to these matters if they're unfamiliar, and some stuff that we can provide commentary on. But Phil Lyman, dude, he's just everywhere. And if folks remember there, so, from moment one, I was like, oh, this is, I don't expect folks to have the same knowledge base I do. So I'm not, if folks want to reach a different conclusion initially, I'm not, diminishing that. I'm just saying, as a trained sniper, I was like, that ain't a fucking shot. And not only is that not a shot, that ain't a 30-06 for damn sure.
No.
And I was initially willing to believe maybe it was a deflection off some soft armor of a 22 long rifle. That I was willing to initially, tolerate. I didn't really believe it, but after further review, I'm like, this is fucking bullshit. For many reasons, I'll be happy to discuss that soon. But one of the things I saw initially was all this stagecraft on and off the initial snuff film that everyone was forced to watch of Charlie Kirk. We see a lot of all of these little performances and side distractions. One of which was a Turning Point USA kid from the UVU campus who was not allowed to talk, and some other dude comes and intercedes. Right? He's describing how he sees Charlie Kirk slump over forward. Well, this never happens. First and foremost, the description of the activities this young fellow describes are not what you see in the video evidence, and furthermore, Phil Lyman's behind all of it.
Right.
And I got a clip for that.
He was there.
He seems to be directing it, sir. Watch this. Maybe.
1, 2, 3.
I saw Charlie Kirk get shot.
1, 2, 3.
I saw Charlie Kirk get shot. He collapsed in his seat. He fell over to the side. He was carried off. He had blood on his arms. He had blood on his shirt. He was dragged off and carried out of the venue. There was a gunshot that rang out.
You okay?
No, I'm not okay. I saw someone get shot today. Yeah. So. I saw Charlie Kirk get shot. He collapsed in his seat. He fell over to the side. He was carried off. He had blood on his arms. He had blood on his shirt. He was dragged off and carried out of the venue. There was a gunshot that rang out.
You okay?
I'm not okay. I saw someone get shot today.
Yeah, dumb question.
Did you guys see what happened?
Yes, I saw him. What's it called? Are you recording this?
Yes, you're live right now. Well, we're recording. I don't know if we're live because of the cell service. Hang on.
I was standing in probably the third. Okay. I was standing from probably the third row in the bottom. I saw hit. I heard the shot ring out. I looked to my left, and then I looked over to my right. I saw him slump over in his chair forward. He slumped over. He had blood coming from the left side of his neck down his shirt, and he slumped over and he was carried off. Get off me! Get off me!
Emotions are running high right.
So everyone's familiar with the second clip. I was. That looked so performative, and then I saw the previous clip that involved Phil Lyman. Seemingly they were kind of directing things. I'm like, wait a second here, fellas.
Yeah, he's kind of all over the place that day, and he's kind of been all over the literally, and he's kind of been all over the place.
Dude, his accounts for that day super sus, conflicting accounts.
Oh yeah. I mean, so I don't know if anyone knows, but Ian Carroll actually came out here to UVU and walked around the crime scene and everything. And apparently, now this is third hand, so take that for what it is. But apparently when Ian Carroll was on his way out here, Phil reached out and offered to show him around. Phil lives like 4 miles away from where UVU is. So that's not like a quick,
if
just
I may,
like
sir,
hop, skip, and a jump, you know?
He confirmed that on an X Spaces I checked out, and he that he was lurking in the X Space, and then he's like, "Oh, Phil's here." So then he came up and was getting kind of beefy, but he confirmed what you're saying is that he did reach out, and he says everyone's trying to make it weird, and it's not weird, even though he lives 4 hours away.
I mean, yeah, I find it weird.
his VP who ran with him for governor in the primaries for Republican primaries, right. She lives 4 miles away. Now we see her sister is the Good Morning America interview, and her children,
right.
You know, and the film,
which is wild. And think about it, like some of the footage from his family's house ended up at TMZ. So did they reach out to TMZ? Did TMZ reach out to them? Did they give it to the feds and the feds gave it to TMZ? Like, where's all of that coming, and why is it some of the
at their
first footage?
Morning meeting? That's my guess.
Well, I mean, and again, this is on its face. It's not as abnormal as it sounds, because and you all probably agree, Heidi, as well, that you have Lyman's family. Again, they sold UVU the property for the campus. They have like 12 homes on that one street where we get the surveillance footage that someone gave to TMZ. But obviously there's a lot of streets that have a lot of families like that. But it is, so that in itself is not odd. It is the nature of which they're
especially out here.
Larry, that's what I'm saying. So on its face, that's not specifically odd, but it's the way they're releasing this video footage from one house. You mean the other 11 homes of the family don't have any footage? And then secondly, they talk about a woman being there with them, and Phil Lyman's given an interview talking about this, but won't show anybody the footage.
Right. Yeah.
So, woman being with Robinson, that is.
Mormons are really compliant, and so I would guess there is no more footage that anyone has because they turned it over and did the right thing, and it's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to upset the mothership, right?
Nope. They just will do what they're told and think that they're
Yeah, and
helping.
that
and-
is kind of a new thing, at least culturally. The whole comply to authority and don't ask questions. Like that wasn't always a thing. From my estimation, I've been able to track it down like somewhere in the late 70s, early 80s that started being really pushed in general conference. And then somewhere like in the late 80s, early 90s, it was pushed as like doctrine almost, that you follow the authority, you don't ask questions, and God will understand even if the authority is wrong. And
well, that's because they became the authority. And
Right.
so then, yeah, they had to fix it.
They're the general authority.
Right.
Exactly. The Council of the 50.
Well, that is the beehive concept, right? It is you're part of the hive. You fall into order.
Right.
That's why.
Well,
that is the nature of why. They can say it's the Freemasonry stuff, but even Freemasonry, I think, uses it for the same purpose. But I'm saying, like,
right.
they can come up with whatever bullshit reason why they use the beehive for the nation of Deseret. But it's obvious to me that it's fall in order because you're part of the hive.
Well, and check this out. So it's actually interesting because Utah has always had a very no outsiders, like a very independent, like libertarian-esque spirit, like so much so that the military sent in somebody from the naval intelligence research to actually figure out how to subvert Utah culture because it was so independent and because they knew that Utahns would actually reject like any outside authority coming in telling us how to run our state, which is kind of what you're seeing now is the outside authorities really coming in, like the UN and, different authorities like this. But that took decades to subvert. So it is interesting. On one hand, you got the beehive, but on the other hand, you also have this really independent, like outlaw kind of mentality.
Well, they did this originally when they became a state, is the government appointed a governor for us, took away the governorship that we had in place, said you're no longer able to do that because we know you're up to no good. And he literally said this was the choice they gave them about following was blood will run down the streets if you do not follow this. So
right. But it's a mothership kingdom because as we see with Phil Lyman, who's a descendant
underground
from Lyman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We, the Lees, the Udalls, you name it, the Levitts, the Romneys. These folks are all descendants from the original members.
Well, let's be honest. They know how to keep a secret because they're all in secret societies. So it just went underground. That's all.
Well, but I'm saying it's literally a collective of a few families still running the entire operation.
Well,
at one point in time in recent years, we had a Lee boy who's again intermarried with Clan Vance out of the Pennsylvania chapter of the Society of Cincinnati. And it is those Lee boys of the same family of Virginia. So we see these blue blood nature of it, not just Massachusetts, but Virginia with the Clan Vance and the Lees there. And we see the descendants therein are involved in the major figure in the Mountain Meadows massacre, 9/11 style there. And we see again the anniversary in which this again 9/10 and 9/11, the anniversary of the Kirk event was the old Mountain Meadows massacre. That was their anniversary of that. So we see Homeboy was at the center of that. This Lee fellow who's intermarried with multiple Vance women of Clan Vance there, and we see his descendants are all in the U.S. Senate in recent years. His descendants were in the U.S. Senate from Oregon, Arizona, Utah, and I think was it New Mexico in recent years, all at one time. All of his descendants. So that's a crazy amount of power.
Don't forget Nevada.
Was it Nevada? Okay, they had four seats of four cousins of the Lee Udalls there, from all descendant from that same dude who got executed. He got murdered, allegedly. I wasn't there. When it comes to any matters parapolitical, I wasn't there, so I need to see more details, especially with the Mormons involved.
Right. Well,
they're wizards. They're magicians by their very nature, right?
110%, actually. Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, and it once again, it also depends exactly what faction you're talking about too, because not all of these factions get along. So, I mean, and
For sure.
a lot of them will do business together even if they're not getting along. You know,
There you go.
because
That's an important factor to understand because
right.
there's one faction, a fundamentalist faction up there out of northern Utah, not far from probably where y'all are at, in southern Idaho, and their names escape me at the moment, but they're tied in real deep with the Trumps.
The Kingstons?
Don Jr.
Kingstons, most likely.
Kingston's, yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They're rich.
he's a professional shooter. Don Jr. is, and they sponsor him.
They
Sounds
also
right.
sponsored the Romneys. Yes, they did.
Well, that makes sense.
Yep.
The Romneys that
And
did it very hard are still fundamentalist, I believe.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Every time I hear Romney, I always think of Gordon Bowen, which is a name that anyone listening to this needs to be very familiar with. Gordon Bowen is a very sick, twisted man, and for some reason is still involved in the church in many, many ways, even though he is excommunicated.
Now he was the bishop, right, in the satanic cult business, right,
So-
with the Levites.
So here's my question.
Who was Bowen?
If you have the second anointing, the only thing that can take that away from you is if you murk an innocent, or that's it pretty much, or you deny the church, the two.
Right.
So if you didn't do either of those and they excommunicate you, are you excommunicated?
That's a
Isn't
good
that
question.
fun?
I mean,
I don't think so.
I would believe that Gordon Bowen, just because of what I know about him, is.
Who's Gordon Bowen?
So he was an advertising director at some huge advertising firm over in New York, and he's done tons of work for the LDS Church. In fact, they even gave him I think it was like $10 million or something to make a film, and the film was so bad.
Him and
that
Mitt Romney
couldn't
wrote
even
about the
show.
Mark Hoffman affair. I got to read that.
He's the
Yeah.
Punisher. Yeah, Huggy's
Yes.
right.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes.
He's the Punisher, right? He was a bishop at one point in time, right?
I can't remember if he was a bishop or not. But I mean,
I
I
remember
know
reading
he's
him in
done.
the documents, though. He was a
Yes.
real sick fuck.
Yeah, he is a real sick fuck.
You know,
know,
on
like
and above
skinning
his,
people
I was just
alive.
talking about his friendship with Mittens Romney, sir. I wasn't talking about those documents. I was just him and Mittens, you know, the real
So-
sick fucks.
So Mitt Romney actually sent 2 of his kids to go live with Gordon Bowen over the summer in New York, which is terrifying knowing what
Well,
Gordon
he's-
Bowen is into. And it was at the same time that, Jeffrey Epstein was also incredibly active in New York. So
Well, there's absolutely no connections with Jeffrey Epstein, any of these connections, sir. In fact, there's no way, shape, or form that Erica Kirk worked for the real estate agency that was connected to Jeffrey Epstein's real estate purchases. That never happened. We live in a Muppet world, sir. These things never happened.
I will spit that out.
She's independently wealthy. She still has a
Right.
real estate license in New York. She has multiple properties. I did a whole bio. She has multiple properties. She did, in fact, work. She's licensed with the agency that Jeffrey Epstein utilized and his brother utilized. Well, not only I would argue not his biological brother, because I argue
Right.
who is Jeffrey Epstein's daddy and what does he do? Because you ain't going to convince me that 6'1", 190-pound dude is a Jewish fella. He looks like a wasp.
Right.
He has a wasp name under a passport from Saudi Arabia. I'm going to go with that's probably his birth name because he looks nothing like his alleged brother Mark Epstein.
Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein is very clearly a made up name.
Yeah, he's a cardboard cut. He's more of a cardboard cutout than Pete Buttigieg, dude. And he's a cardboard cutout, dude. Just straight up cardboard
Buttigieg.
cutout. He's a
Right.
cardboard cutout of a human being, dude. And Epstein's even worse than that. And I'm starting to look at Charlie Kirk in the same capacity. And on that note, if I would like to ask you all to join me on my favorite game here on Operation GCD Fridays, who's your daddy and what does he do?
You tell me, who is your daddy and what does he do?
Who?
Love
So
that.
that's the only picture we get of the Kirks. Now his parents were in their 40s when they had young Charlie there, and his sister, I believe, pardon me, I believe his mother was 41 and 43 with his sister, who's 29 years of age today. Seen in that photo, I can find other photos of his parents are few and far between. They did not. I repeat, I am not the vice president, and Charlie Kirk's parents suspiciously did not attend that service of his.
Right.
And look at
Which
the
is
look at the dome piece on
incredibly
that
odd.
fella.
Well,
He's the size of Sputnik, sir. What do you think, ma'am? You're of a medical nature. The size of that?
Is
What's
that-
going on with that
I
dome
agree. It
piece?
is Sputnik.
Yeah, where did it come from? Who's that
Oh,
dome piece's
no.
daddy? And what did it do? Because the man that
Right.
they show us is his father, Robert Kirk, the architect for Trump Tower in Manhattan, there where Donald Trump's primary residence is. Outside of Mar-a-Lago. He was the architect and lives in Chicago. There, part of that Team Trump Chicago element. I know some of those folks, not Robert Kirk specifically, but I know of him. And it's interesting because that dude don't look like Charlie at all, or Charlie don't look like him.
right. Well, I was just about to ask that. Like, do we know for a fact that that's his dad?
No, and here's the other weird part, sir, and ma'am. When I look for Charlie in public, doing, formerly used to run an agency, the GCD detective agency. The garbage can dude in that capacity was greatest common denominator, because that's the way I look at these things. When I look at Phil Lyman being the greatest common denominator in all this weird release of these psyops, I'm like, all right, well, there's more to this story with Phil Lyman, and we'll get into more of that. But Charlie Kirk in of itself, yeah, dude, like he's not. I mean that to both y'all, dude, in a very non-gender capacity. I'm not trying to
Right.
to apply gender
It's
to the term
fine.
dude.
You're good.
It's just
We don't have to
2025,
worry
you know
about
what I mean?
gender.
But yeah, he doesn't appear in any public records with his family. His sister does. Now, his mother
Right.
seems to have had a previous child who now is the age of 39 years old today, 38 and a half, who was also named Charlie, which is strange. Now, maybe she's doing a George Foreman, or I have a dude named Kevin who named all of his children and all of his pets Kevin, including his daughter. So, George Foreman,
Hey.
famously named all of his sons George, but, I'm not saying it's possible. It's weird, though. It's weird.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I just have kind of a hard time believing that his sister, let's see, she's like 28, 29 or something, like right there.
29, yes, sir.
And she doesn't have an Instagram. Get the hell out of here.
And Charles
Get the
Smith,
hell outta
aka
here.
Chaz Smith, appears along with the sister, along with the parents, because that's weird.
Right. Right.
And what you're getting at is the whole family seems to have this constructed nature, manufactured nature to it. And I don't think you're off target, sir.
Right. And here's the thing. I am now to the point, I just believe whether Charlie knew it or not, it just totally seems like his life was the Truman Show, and very,
sure,
very
dude.
clearly ever since him and Erica were married and, had their life together from that point on, I guarantee it was the Truman Show. Now, before that, I'm still up in the air, but because I mean, if his family is like a bunch of spooks, a bunch of glowies, then it's very possible that they're just, because of what they're involved in, like they could just be non-existent in the public sphere because of the deep nature of what they do. So that is possible. So they could still be real people and everything, and it could have been just like a normal life, whatever that is. But after he met Erica and then got married, had the kids and everything, that was very clearly Truman Show, in my opinion.
It's very odd. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts there, ma'am?
So
As a fellow Deseret native, all these matters.
Yes. Well, somebody asked in the comments here about Erica, and I do think that was his handler. I
I'm
think
way behind in the comments.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're good. I just think that when we start going down the Erica road, a lot of things will be explained. Charlie does seem pretty innocent to me, like he might have been a Truman Show person, and that makes me feel really bad for him. And
Same.
He did some things as of late that are different than he normally had. And the one thing about Mormon factions is we have the old school Mormons, which are very loyal to Israel, and we have the new Gnostic Mormons that are kind of hidden. We're not talking about mainstream here. We're talking about powers that be, and they are not aligned with that. And he seemed to be changing teams, and if that were to happen, that would not be okay with the people that run the money.
You ain't kidding, man. One of the folks that made Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA is a 33rd degree Freemason and a Jewish fella. I call him Fat G. I formerly know this man. I'm formerly associated with this man. His name starts with a G, but being the Mormon, being the Mason he is, I call him Fat G because of big G, Anyhow, this dude I've seen him wage an innumerable amount of power from a very small office building, corner office in the northern suburb of Chicago, where Charlie hails from. Again, this is part of that whole contingent that made Turning Point up there. It's a very interesting cast of characters, but he does it. Just so much of it seems like a scripted nature of it. When you're saying first of all, his mother does have disregard. Erica's mother has a very, as Jacob J would say, glowy, resume. But that ain't the only suspicious thing about all these characters. But nonetheless, it all seems very scripted. Well, life sometimes imitates fiction and vice versa and whatnot. When you have a fella who asks a trans murder question and it goes pop, and then it's supposed to be some transferry, and then they're waging all this psychological warfare of a bunch of nonsense on folks, and it all revolves around a couple small characters. A lot of it, and you're just like, what the fuck's? I mean, I realize the train has left the tracks here in Muppet World 2025, but this is ridiculous.
Well, and for people so also his mom's in healthcare, and you have to understand what's going on with that ever since Ruby Frankie,
Tyler Robinson.
All things. And not only that, but they just barely had Operation Hive Strike here in Utah that involved teachers and healthcare, and it's busting apart sort of.
Well, a number of these characters dancing around Phil Lyman work for that same healthcare spot.
Right.
It's Tyler Robinson's mother. So that's weird.
Allegedly.
It's allegedly weird. I would say it's pretty normal.
Right. Well,
status quo.
I mean,
allegedly that they are.
So here's something that was also pointed out to me regarding Tyler Robinson. So allegedly his dad was the one that recognized the picture of the firearm, right? And that's how he was like, oh, it was my boy, right? But the problem with that is the picture that they showed us is not the picture of the firearm that was used.
Nope. Stock image provided us by the graciously, sir. The New York Times went out of their way to provide us that stock image.
Right. So,
and did it scream Oswald to you? Did it just scream?
All of it does. The Manlica Carcano. They're like, oh no, we switched guns. You know what I mean? It's the same model. Oh, go figure. All of it. Yeah, it's the same old nonsense, right? It's the same old script.
The only thing we didn't get was a perp walk, like we did with Lee Harvey. That was the only thing. well, that and the fact that it's 2 names instead of 3. So
well, I'm glad you said that, because here's the deal. Old Lance Twiggs or whatever, that dude don't exist. I've looked for that dude. His whole family owns some shit. They own that property they allegedly lived in. This character who's disappeared, the gay furry boyfriend,
right?
He doesn't exist on papers. You know what I mean? And then Tyler Robinson, let's be honest about the situation. Outside of some what could be fictional photographs of his family and one picture or 30-second clip of him getting accepted to Utah State, which could in fact be AI generated, to be quite honest with you. We're at that point here in Muppet World 2025. The uncanny valley stuff is tripping my brain hole off, though, in a couple of these these family photos of the Robinsons. They've changed the narrative so many times around it. His father was a sheriff. Matt Robinson of the Utah County Sheriff's Department is not related in any capacity, so on and so forth.
Right.
So they can't get it. My whole point in all of these matters is, with the autopsy included, if there was an autopsy, there wouldn't be 19 tales around it. If he did confess and as he did get turned, there wouldn't be 19 different versions of why and how it happened.
True. I mean,
we wouldn't see Patterson Gimlin footage, It's 2025. The best footage we're getting is Patterson Gimlin. I'm looking for Bigfoot in every one of those images they give us, because that's how grainy it is.
Well, that's practically what Tyler was on that roof, right? Was Bigfoot. It was like running.
That's what I'm saying, dude. That's the Patterson Gimlin footage of the entire
Right.
affair right there.
Right. The one where his shadow disappears when he's on the roof. Like,
Oh,
what?
well, there's so, if you start getting down to the particulars, there's so much tomfoolery around every one of these
Yes.
images. And again, if there's 1,000, let's say there's 1,020 somethings there, they're all got their phones on. I have an 18-year-old; he's got his phone on. He's ready to go.
Right.
He's ready. I'm a amateur photographer. Have been since I was very young teenager. Thanks to those Mormons and the Boy Scouts. But you know what I mean. I'm ready to go as well, taking photographs and videos. But my son's 3J's ready to go at all times. He beats me to the punch, and that's what I'm saying. So you mean to tell me the best footage we got is like basically three videos? They all revolve around Phil Lyman, and one of which at least looks like the Patterson Gimlin footage. Bigfoot may or may not have been involved.
From what I understand, I saved this post on X. I need to go make sure and like download it, put it through my thread reader and save a PDF of it. But somebody broke down that UVU just upgraded their cameras like 2 or 3 years ago. So they have 1080p, like top of the line security cameras all over the place, literally all over the place.
And you know why they do that, sir? Liability. The insurance, you pay a lot less in insurance liability premiums if you have cameras up.
Right. Which, I mean, they had cameras up before, but
no, I'm saying high quality. You want to be able to see the fine details of any, sexual assaults and the stuff that insurance companies have to pay. I'm just saying, I've done some work with some insurance companies with my PI business. These are the things that concern them. They want to know. They want to be able to separate liability from themselves and apply it to another party in the most crisp and video format possible.
Right. I mean, it makes total sense.
Yeah. No one wants to take responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. And this is how you know it's a psyop, right? There's way too many questions, not enough answers, nothing makes sense. I mean,
there you go. The more information we get, the more questions we have. That's key in identifying a psyop, right?
Right, 100%. So, I mean, what more do you want at that point? It's like, I don't know. And I find it interesting too. Like there's all of these conservatives that 12 months ago, right before Trump was in office, right there towards the end of the election, everyone was calling for the abolition of the FBI, right? Which I'm all for. I've been calling for the abolition of the FBI for years now.
Dude, I've been calling for the abolition of the FBI since I was able to talk, friend.
Right.
No, I'm just joking, but I famously got in a beef with my aunt. She worked for the FBI for 32 years, 33 years, maybe 34, somewhere around there. When she retired, she was the head of their forensics lab. She started recruiting me into the FBI when I was 12. So by age 14, I started looking into these matters, and I asked her a question. I was like, what's up with this Hoover guy? Seems like a real dickbag. And she did not like that. We still don't talk to this day.
That's unfortunate.
Hoover's a god to those people. And I thought, well, maybe she's going to agree with me because Hoover didn't let women become agents, and she was a secretary for the first 6 or 7 years of her career.
Right. Which is kind of weird because he was a cross-dresser, but
he didn't want him competing with, he wanted to work. You want to have the best.
Only he can wear the pretty panties. Let's get real.
I know what I'm talking about.
Right. I mean, it's just interesting. But so these conservatives,
realize, sir, that these, if I may, the FBI once again, Society of Cincinnati, founded by Charles Bonaparte. They say he's Napoleon's grandnephew. I would argue that's Napoleon's grandson. That's a different tale altogether. Horse of a different color altogether. And then J. Edgar Hoover, honorary member of the society, inducted in 1946 in the New York chapter.
Interesting. Yep. That makes a lot of sense, though.
All roads lead back to the society, sir.
So
and again, and as Heidi and I have documented, it's an offshoot of the society, or the Mormons are an offshoot of the society.
Right. I mean, that makes sense as well. So, I mean, you have these conservatives calling for the abolition of the FBI 12 months ago. Right now, a lot of the conservatives are saying, well, if you don't believe the FBI, because, FBI are patriots now, then, you're the problem. You're what's wrong with this country.
Trust the plan?
Right. Right. Exactly.
Are you telling me you want me to believe JFK Jr. is not alive? Is that what you want me to believe?
Right.
The Society of
Right.
Cincinnati member out of the Maryland chapter, Heidi pointed that one out to me. JFK Jr., he's not alive, is what you're telling me.
Right. Well, and I also kind of just want you to believe that, JFK's head just did that by itself.
Oh, dude. So when I saw the snuff film from Kirk, that's all I kept saying. Back and to the left. Back and to the left.
Back and to the left.
Look, this is all recharging the house. That's why I took so long to talk about this, because it was right before 9/11, and that has grown, slightly. I'm not saying it's not important, but it's gotten less impactful because these younger
100%.
people coming up, right? They don't know as much. And we're getting older and maybe don't think about it as much, or we're busy with kids or whatnot. And I'm not saying, it's not important. I'm just saying these things fade, just like JFK. So all these things are starting to fade. And then what happens? They recharge the house with this, trauma for the new generation. They'll never forget it. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this generation's JFK, right? I mean, I don't think Charlie Kirk necessarily is as important as JFK, but we're never going to see another high level political assassination for, the next 50 years, 40 years, maybe 30. I don't know, but it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Well, they just released the papers. Like, we're hot on that.
Oh, go ahead, Heidi. Go ahead.
Sorry, we have a delay, and people don't always know that. And I tell them all the time, because they're like, everybody interrupts. I'm like, we
my
have a
gremlins be
delay.
acting up.
Yeah. And so what I was saying, is just that, we're never going to have the answers. First of all, we're hot off the presses from the JFK release. And also, that kind of charge things, then this charges things, then the prophet dies, then all of this stuff is happening. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And it's on the 6th day out of the 10 days for, how am I going to say this? A certain, the juice
box
holiday. Yeah. The juice box holiday for repentance. So 666 and the 6th day out of 10 for repentance. I'm just saying they do this. I'm not saying that, people that celebrate on that day are bad or whatever. They know all of these days and the intention behind them and how they can charge it. And if you ever go to a University of Utah game, they will do these weird things, like an actual thing in the middle of their when the football players sit down, called charging the house. And it's very ritualistic. Right. This is not just games here in Utah. They just don't know what they're doing. They have the magic
100%.
without any answers. Yeah.
I would argue that looking at any other context, I think you're spot on, man. Looking at any other context would be incorrect, because by their fundamental nature, they are ceremonial magicians. They're fucking wizards. Ancient alien cargo cult wizards. And they haunt the pale moon beams. That's what I heard.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, there's so much of that out here too. And I mean, this is kind of across like American culture, right? Is like people have just been taught magic isn't real. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yeah, okay. Magic, as far as like, I guess, Harry Potter, kind of what it looks like and how it works. You're right. That doesn't exist. But magic does exist. And it happens everywhere all the time. And to say that it doesn't is incredibly ignorant. So, and it's just like one of these things, like, the greatest thing the devil ever did was, convince people he didn't exist. It's like same thing with magic. It's like we get older adults and magic doesn't exist. And it's like, okay, well, you might not believe in it, but that's not the important part. The important part is whether they believe in it.
Absolutely.
And they do believe in it. And whether it's real or not also doesn't matter, because they believe in it and they're putting the intention and the energy into it.
There you go.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
No, I mean, and that's part of the whole bit, right? They want folks to not. It's battling. It's like those damn Satanists and Mikey Aquino. They're part of his whole shtick of his psyop is have folks argue on semantics.
Right. Exactly. That's one of the best ways. I mean, cultural Marxists do this as well. They get you into the weeds, because as soon as they get you into the weeds, then they sucker punch you, and it's easy to get you messed up and frustrated, and then they win the game. So
for sure,
dirty trick.
Before we go any further, I want to get into the prophet stuff, because I feel like that was very timely. But the
Wow.
the matters of Charlie Kirk here are very interesting. Again, why would his folks not attend his ceremony, his memorial service?
Because they're scared, probably.
I mean,
Probably.
they had fireworks, and I think they had a
Mhm.
hot dog cart outside. I think it was a real carnival. They had a dunk take for Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War.
They were
It's a real carnival they had down
registering
there.
people to vote. They were accepting donations to TPUSA.
That's what I'm saying. It was a party, dude. You know, like you're saying,
was
she was wearing
WrestleMania.
white. Yeah, it was WrestleMania, dude. If Hulk was still around, Hulk would have been there ripping his shirt off.
Yeah, 100%. I just implore anyone, go look up pictures of Jackie Kennedy during the JFK funeral.
Mhm. Yeah,
I mean, she's decked out in black.
but
you can
she's
tell
also chumming it up and laughing about with the Pope. But
Right.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, even still, 2 weeks later, Erica Kirk's on Charlie's show, laughing her head off, talking about how
Yucking it
wonderful
up, dude.
everything is.
Yucking it up.
Come
Well,
on.
Yep.
I got a clip to emphasize the weird nature. This was actually the Economic Times that put this together. I took the sound off because it was just dumb music. But even the Economic Times asking, where's this dude's parents?
Right.
Mhm.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
Super weird. Oh, my bad. It's Times Entertainment. I think it's an Indian thing because that's what it is. It's out of India because it's Cash App Patel related, I think. Right? You know what I mean? As far as, why are they publishing this, right?
Right.
No, he did not invent the Cash App. I mean, look at this scene, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Now there's this whole conspiracy theory boiling now that Charlie Kirk's father died.
Really?
Yeah, that's the new one. Well, I mean, after they didn't show up, they had to come up with something to spin out there, right? So Cash App Patel, not the inventor. I'm not the vice president, and FBI director of Cash App, real name Patel, did not invent the Cash App, but he is apparently shacking up with his Mormon boyfriend in Las Vegas. What are your all's thoughts on that?
Well, I'd like to say on your clip, how many goddesses wear white? And is that an homage to the goddess?
Ooh, I like your style, man. That's a good point. That is a good point. We're talking goddess worship amongst all these characters, right?
100%.
Right. And think about that weird hug she gave Trump.
That was all
weird little smile he did, and
that
her
the fangs
throwing
came
up,
out.
like,
Yeah, that was weird. That was all weird. That was
like
that was a nuh-uh.
People can look at that and say magic doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Come on.
Well, and it doesn't matter.
True.
It doesn't even matter, like you said, if we all say it doesn't and it means nothing, great. But they still, like I mentioned about these days of repentance, it doesn't matter what we think or what other people think. It matters to them. It's a specific day for a reason. These days, there's tons of satanic holidays. There's tons of days, which you know way better than I know. But I'm just saying these days are charged and they do certain homages to certain people, including goddess worship on those days. Period.
100%.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I'd like to point out here that this name right here, Frank Figaluzzi, that's got to be a made-up name. There's no way that's a real name. But there's numerous accounts. In fact, Cash Patel requested that he telecommute from his home. Well, he don't have a home in Vegas. His apparent boyfriend has a home in Vegas, who's a Mormon timeshare owner. He owns he's a president owner of some timeshare company in Vegas. Real sketchy situation. A lot of complaints to the Better Business Bureau, if you know what I'm talking about. And apparently this dude's been running the FBI out of dude's home there. And, everyone's like, oh, he's got this Mossad beard of a girlfriend or girlfriend. It seems to be a beard.
Yeah.
Whether or not she's Mossad or not, that remains to be seen, I think. But we do know, one of the known knowns, if you will, is the fellow he is living at, where he's telecommuting to run the FBI out of Vegas, is indeed a multimillionaire Mormon who runs a strange corporation. We'll put it at that.
And Cash is totally getting his back blown out. That's my opinion.
I have seen
he's looking,
the
he's seen its
repercussions of that.
Go ahead.
It's not good. I just said I have seen the repercussions of that. You might want to be careful. Yeah. As a nurse.
Beware, right? Beware.
Yeah.
Well, and also,
I mean, it's
speaking of
sketch.
other things to be aware of.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
Watch out, folks. They got old Ted twice. Stay vigilant. So isn't it weird that Cash Patel is shacked up out in Vegas, right?
Right.
It's weird, right?
Oh, it is. It's entirely weird. I mean, as far as I know, that's never happened, at least publicly, with another.
Well, even J.
FBI
Edgar Hoover
director.
hid it in the closet, right?
Right. Like I said, even publicly, like it's never happened. But
well, everybody
I
knew
don't
Clyde
even know what to
Tolson
make
was
of
his
it.
boyfriend. You know what I mean? He was the assistant director of the FBI.
Right.
But I mean, at least they put on some suits. They made it look right. And this dude's out there probably twerking on his boyfriend in Las Vegas nightclubs for all I know.
Right. Well, I have heard through the grapevine that there are people that have worked in different clubs in DC that have seen him around. He's staying up all night doing all sorts of drugs. So
what are we talking about? What hit me with some dude? I was a resident of DC for 6.5 years.
A lot of sugar.
I've heard a lot of stories about a lot of these folks while I lived there.
Right. I mean, the stories are a lot of no sugar, so a lot of pills. So whether that's true or not, I don't know. Like you said, I wasn't there. Huh?
Do you know what neighborhoods we're talking here?
No. I just know that there's been people on X. I've seen the posts saying I'm a worker in this club in DC, and I've seen so and so, and usually Cash Patel's name shows up a lot.
I was wondering if it was the DuPont Circle, aka as the locals call it, the Fruit Loop. That's where the Society of Cincinnati headquarters is located.
That doesn't ring a bell, but I'll see if I can find some of these posts and send them your way, because they were really, really interesting.
Be watching
Right.
for the toucan from the Fruit Loop.
Here's a side note for y'all, and I do thank both of y'all for joining me here tonight to get a little GCD. DuPont Circle Starbucks still there, location still there. I used to live in Adams Morgan, the neighborhood to the north of there, and I would frequently use their interwebs down there because I was too cheap to get I was never home at the time. I was always traveling. I was on active duty, never in my apartment, so never saw fit to get interwebs there. So I go down to the Starbucks to do my homeworks and whatnot at night when I was in town, and I got to know the local baristas and whatnot there, and and entertained me with a story one night, a tale of how Chandra Levy and two other brunette women were last seen at that Starbucks location in DuPont Circle, all murked within 18 months of each other, an 18-month time frame. These three brunette women, all in their mid-20s, and they were all dumped in national parks there in the DC area. So these folks at the Starbucks had concocted over time. This was a local mystery there amongst the baristas, that there was a serial killer operating out of their Starbucks. I excuse all the baristas of being that serial killer for telling me the story. So you take it for what you will.
Right. Kind of, brings to mind like the yogurt shop murders. So.
Well, that one reminds me of the murders of old Mary Mahoney. Are you hip to that tale?
I know I've heard the name, but no, I'm not familiar with that.
It is indeed how we get Matt Drudge as this fake conservative character
really?
amongst media. He's born out of the Monica Lewinsky incident, which is born out of the Mary Mahoney murder. Right. So Mary Mahoney was from Towson, Maryland. She joined the Bill Clinton first campaign. She was a staffer from the White House from day one. She resigns in April of 1904. 1993. I'll look at that in a second. She goes to work at the Starbucks, not the DuPont Circle one. She goes to the other location at the time in Georgetown. That location has since been changed over to something else in recent years, but was still a Starbucks until a few years ago. Three folks, all three employees murked, 2 shots to the back of the head in the back office, no signs of forced entry, nothing stolen. She'd been working at that Starbucks for 4 months after she left the White House for a number of years and had been with the campaign before that. And strangely enough, Chelsea Clinton in her Secret Service detail was documented coming into that shop 2 weeks before her murder.
Oh, wow. Isn't that convenient?
And meeting with Mary Mahoney. So there was an established relationship there. She wasn't that much older than Chelsea. I mean, she was, I think at that time, maybe 20, 21 maybe. Chelsea would have been 16, 17. not Bill's daughter,
Interesting.
obviously. Webb Hubbell's daughter, right? Who was her
Right.
daddy, and what does he do? It ain't Bill.
Right.
Her daddy was
right.
Webb Hubbell. What does he do? A lot of time in the federal pen, and he probably should have done a lot more.
Right. Yeah, that's clearly not Bill Clinton's kid.
Dude, not even a chance, dude. Not even a chance. Oh,
Well-
dude, you can't. First of all, let's just take note of all of the shit coating and propaganda we live in here in Muppet World 2025. You search Mary Mahoney, you don't even get anything close to. You don't. There's not even a hit near the top, dude.
Interesting.
They bury these things pretty good these days.
Right.
Yeah, they put a local drug dealer in prison for it, and it was pretty dumb. So it was 1997. She was 24 years of age, July
Okay.
8th. The folks came in the following morning, found the place unlocked, and again, the employees merged in the back. Nothing was stolen, no signs of forced entry. Dude, no crackhead did this. This is ridiculous. It's one of those cases. Just,
Right.
oh, the crackhead did it. So
Yeah,
on the
I
evening of
see
Monday,
why,
March 1st. Oh, go ahead.
I see why this the yogurt shop murders reminds you of this. I totally see the parallels.
Yeah, and they didn't even get, so once again, like the evidence they brought the guy in was not even the evidence of that crime. It was the evidence of an attempted murder of an off-duty Prince George County police officer.
So somebody said in the chat, crackheads are savvy.
Yeah, oh, they're creative. I mean, they are creative, but they're creative for one thing, and one thing I've experienced a lot. In my law enforcement career, I've experienced a number of cracktivities and incidents and accidents of cracktivity. They are creative. I'll tell you that this one thing there. You can drop a crackhead off in any form. You could drive a crackhead 2,000 miles away from where they were living, put them in a not foreign city, but foreign to them, drive them from New York City to Seattle. They'll give them a half an hour. They will find crack within 30 minutes in Seattle.
Right.
They don't have to know anybody. There's like a fucking magnet, dude. They're creative in that regard, but
they are dedicated. Here's the thing is, they get up, they get out there, they go find what they need, period. So I don't want to hear any excuses from anybody. I can't, whatever. If crackhead can, you can.
Dude, they have, for sure. They have nothing even on the Wikipedia, the source of all information on the interwebs about Mary Mahoney and the Starbucks murder.
That is very odd. I'm going to have to look into that story.
So what happens is, so she gets murdered they get murked on the July 6th, but no one finds them until July 8th, I think is how it goes. Cause that's a Saturday, I believe. And it's a long weekend because of the long federal weekend because of the 4th of July. So what happens is it gets leaked to who's homeboy who perpetrated the Russiagate stuff for shite. You know what I'm talking about?
Comey?
No, the media fella.
Oh,
the main guy. He did a Seth Rich Files podcast. Seth Rich Files.
Oh,
it's the same. You said it's the same script. It's the same cast of characters from the Lewinsky affair to the Russiagate Trump business, including the White House chief of staff Lonnie Davis.
Somebody
Christopher Steele plays in the role back then too, but he was the spook guy. So Lonnie Davis was the attorney for Trump's attorney, the one that perjured himself, did a bunch of felonious shit, real hood rat shit. But he perpetrated all that stuff about the whole check to Stormy Daniels, member of NXIVM, by the way.
Really?
Stormy Daniels. Yeah, she even tweeted out. Oh, she tweeted out back in 2012. Yo, I joined a cult, y'all. I paraphrase that, but it's the same.
Right.
And the tattoo she got on her navel, right? It's clearly covering up the branding she had.
Oh, interesting.
From the DOA. She was part of the upper echelon of the sex cult. They all get branded.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes total sense.
Michael Cohen's attorney was Lonnie Davis. Lonnie Davis was the chief of White House chief of counsel. He leaks to Michael Isikoff. There we go. I had to sort through my malted hops and bong rest in there for a second. Michael Isikoff worked for Yahoo News. They walked Isikoff's article into the FISA court and said, look, the Federal Bureau of Uninvestigations, this is why Comey's getting indicted right now, right? They're like, hey, look, there's this article saying that Christopher Steele's report's all accurate. We got Christopher Steele's report. We got Michael Isikoff's article. Well, Michael Isikoff wrote the article based upon Christopher Steele's report. That was the sole source. So, but they walked it into the FISA court like, hey, we got evidence. So Isikoff was supposed to break the. So Lonnie Davis is like, hey, we got this White House staffer that's going to break, this sexual affair. It's July 4th, right? July 5th, that happens, right? He's talking to Isikoff. Matt Drudge allegedly swoops in and scoops the story, right? But the story doesn't really break until months later, and there's this weird dance that goes on, and Drudge is introduced to then Scoop Davis, and he ends up overtaking David Brock, James Alefontis, the Comet Pizza, his boyfriend.
Yes.
He was the chief propagandist against the Clintons in the 90s, and then the day after they left office, he was like, hey, yeah, we're best friends. And then Drudge came in to replace him, but Drudge gets onto the scene under the Lewinsky affair, scooping Isikoff, who's a Pulitzer Prize winning Muppet. And that whole situation, it takes 4 months. I appreciate you all sticking with me on this for both.
No, you're good.
I'm sorting through some details I haven't looked at in a long time, but they play this weird dance for 4 months because they're hiding Mary Mahoney's murder. She was the person that was going to leak it out on July 5th when Lonnie Davis starts talking with Michael Isikoff. We don't hear the name Monica Lewinsky for 6 more months. Right. We don't. The infamous Linda Tripp stuff doesn't happen until October. This is July. That's what I'm saying. We see this weird dance play out, but it's because on July 5th, that's who they're talking about. Mahoney. She's dead 2 days later.
See, I have always thought that there was something very strange about Drudge.
Oh, he's a real douche, right? Real douche.
Right. I mean, media. Hey, Mockingbird media. But still, he
replaced David Brock. So David Brock flipped sides. Media Matters. He runs all the Media Matters shit, right? All the Soros funded. This is everything gets gets bottlenecked through Media Matters. They're the one who send out all the memos to everybody.
Right.
Yeah. So he was the number one person against the Clintons in the media in the 90s.
Right. Yeah, that's so odd.
And then Drudge replaces him.
It fits perfectly, though. It makes so much sense.
Right.
Wild. That's wild.
And I didn't want to take us too far off the on a tangent here, but now that I mentioned all these things, man, I got to go back through more of the details of my brain hole here because this is all very interesting.
Right. Yeah, I've always just felt like there was just something kind of off about the Drudge report, and I guess that makes a lot of sense,
So everyone says that she had a relationship with Bill. That's what all the, you go to the Clinton body count, like, the survey says she had a relationship with Bill, and I would argue she had a relationship with Hillary.
Right.
I mean, let's call it, a spade, if you will, sir.
Yeah.
Ma'am, as well. I don't. No offense. I'm just saying. I like to call them how they sees them.
Right. No, I would actually agree with you on that.
She drives a Subaru. She attends Liz Fair Festival. That's all I'm
she listens to Four Non-Blondes on Saturday.
You're tracking.
Starbucks. Yeah.
No disrespect. I'm just saying that's what got her in trouble, right? This is what got her murked.
Right.
So you can see the day after the thing leaked from Lonnie Davis, right, to Michael Isikoff and Strange. These guys are involved 30 years later in these affairs with the Trump's Russiagate nonsense, right?
Interesting. Cremated, ashes given to family or friend.
No, we don't want any evidence.
Right, of course not.
Yeah, she's from a fairly wealthy family over there. She attended Towson University from over there too. Internship at the White House. Worked at a series of coffee bars. So she starts working with the first Clinton and presidential campaign.
Right. Okay. So she's over in Baltimore. So, I mean, that's right in the thick of things.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. So House of Cards is based upon Bill Clinton parody kind of satire, if you will, from Kevin Spacey in Baltimore. Strangely enough, there's a lot of Clinton activity. There's a lot of cracktivity and Clinton activity in Baltimore.
Right.
And Mormon money over that poppy. Let's not forget.
Well, you can't rule them out in that area because that was the first East Coast temple, right? I mean, our modern era, right? Our modern era temples.
Right.
They like to not touch it themselves, but they sure make money off it. That's for sure.
Well, that temple in D.C. is unrivaled by anything else except for Temple Square.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The local folks think it looks like the Wizard of Oz in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Because they're driving around the
I would agree to that. I mean, as far as making the money off of it, I mean, the LDS Church practically owns Coca-Cola here in the state. And also the huge thing as of lately has been, soda bars, which is wild.
Yeah.
They're disgusting. They're
That
disgusting.
and cookies.
Right.
Yes, crumble and
Crumble.
Yeah.
Yeah, they own that. They love sugar.
Yeah, huge sugar addiction here.
Yes.
Huge sugar
Well, it's because
addiction.
they got the Hawaiian royal family as part of the church. They got to get they got the sugar in there. It makes a lot of
Who
sense.
wants
logistically.
milk and syrup in their, like, I can't drink it. Either leave the Coca-Cola alone or put the Coke back in it. That's it.
The prophet
That's
said to
all.
drink it, ma'am.
Well,
So gross.
see, the thing here, because one of the largest cash crops out of the state was always sugar beets.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So southern Idaho and northern Utah, it's sugar beets, which actually, as far as the cash crop goes, does produce more sugar and better sugar than sugar cane.
Yeah.
And
It was the first.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was the first company that literally the prophet of the church said, we will either build this sugar company or we will like fall as a church, period, because they'd
Yeah.
already set up the railroads to run it all out. So it was
Right.
their first grift. It was their first Ensign Peaks.
right.
Well, so they'll
And-
never cut off sugar. Then isn't it weird how they dictate what you
Mhm.
can or cannot put in your system? Like
Mm.
the whole caffeine and business and the hot and cold, all that in different interpretations. That didn't erupt until what, the mid '60s at a general conference.
Yeah,
I think-
that's when it started. It once again around the same time wasn't really pushed super hard until about the late 80s. And then it was like really pushed,
Dude, I
mean,
couldn't
it
have sodas. I
always
couldn't have
recommended.
coffees or teas. I could have a lot of sugar though. You could get yourself some Kool-Aid, some Gatorades, get a lot of sugar in you. There's no problem with that
Right.
growing up.
Oh yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah.
They
It's
did.
weird. It's a weird dynamic.
And
It
green
is.
Jello.
I mean,
Green Jell-O.
green Jello, just all sorts of Jello. Oh
So
man.
weird.
Well,
But,
on
I
that
mean,
note, please hold that thought.
yes.
Okay, well, we'll take these home, run through them with a fine-tooth comb, cross the T's and dot the lowercase j's.
I figured we got some lowercase j's here on this Phil Lyman situation, if you will, and cross some T's there. And watch, I got a couple clips from Candace because, again, she's really the only one pointing out the obvious that Phil Lyman's connected to all this business.
Yep. Yes, sir.
So something very strange happened this weekend, and I need to tell you. I need to tell you guys about it. I need to offload this and get your opinion. Now, first and foremost, I have to tell you about this student who I'm going to refer to as Nick. Nick is not his real name. I'm going to refer him as Nick to protect his identity, obviously. I came across Nick very early on in this investigation. In fact, you might recall when I shared a photo online of a person that looked suspicious. He was wearing like a black suit and black glasses, and he seemed to have a strap hanging out of his bag. Here he is right here, and he was in the food court. I shared that photo because Nick had sent it to me into our tips box and said, this person looks rather mysterious. He's running through the food court. And from there, he kind of became my boots on the ground. He was like, hey, I go to UVU. I'm a major Candace Owens fan. I want to help in any way that I can. Okay. So that's how that happened. That was really, and right away, he told me on like day 2 of the investigation that he worked on Phil Lyman's gubernatorial campaign. Phil Lyman ran against the current Governor Cox, and he lost. And one day, very early on, this must have been like day 3, Nick cold calls me, and Phil Lyman's on the phone. Okay. Like I said, he ran for governor, and I was prepping for the show, and things were early on, and I was still in a very aggrieved phase, and I didn't really know I was on the phone with this guy, Phil Lyman. And I was like, okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that you're offering help. And Nick insisted to me, he's a fantastic person. He has tons of resources. He knows the area. If you need any help.
So this Nick character, she said it's a pseudonym. And since then, Phil Lyman's been out there just putting that dude on blast with his real name. And he's apparently a staffer from Governor Cox campaign.
Right.
Not Phil Lyman's.
Right.
You better
I mean,
be
it makes
careful.
sense.
So what is this dynamic? What is this? Because Spencer Cox, again, he looks like he wears folks' skin as a human coat. I feel like him and Brandon Fugel dance around in other folks' skin, on the weekends. But the Skinwalker Ranch guy,
He's a situation. He's probably friends with Skinwalker Ranch guy.
No, they are. Yeah, him and Skinwalker are friends, and they're real dum-dums too. So I figured they take it literally. They just wear human skin and they're just running around that ranch on the weekends. But I don't think they're too bright. But what is this dynamic there? Because they're both Republicans, but are they? What's going on here?
Not Republicans.
What's a Republican?
I mean, what is a Republican? That's a good question.
What is a Republican, sir? And please, or ma'am, and please use it in a sentence, because I have no idea what these people are anymore. They're
a
all
Republican is anyone who identifies as a Republican.
Right? Because Spencer Cox and him, it was pretty close race.
Mormon.
Right?
A Mormon.
Well, they're both Mormons. So what was the dynamic here, right? What was the breaking point between these two?
Probably a secret
Politics,
society argument or a wife argument, right? One wanted the other one's wife. Wait, no, that's the FLDS. Hold on.
Because it seems like it got pretty dirty between these two.
I mean, the big thing is that at the very least, not everyone wants to literally see the world burn. And make of that what you will, but Governor Cox is one of these people. And you know what? I'm not even going to call him governor. I always call him Spencer, just because that's like the most.
You don't want to call him Cock?
Yeah.
Well,
no,
too,
because
right?
I mean, the most offensive thing you can do to somebody with an official title like that is just call them by their first name. So, but he is just the perfect politician. He's whatever he needs to be in whatever moment. And so that's why I don't think like it even genuinely matters that he's a member of the LDS church. Like it doesn't matter. He says he's Republican. Like he's just
he went to
whatever.
Washington and Lee University for law school as well, if I may, sir. So that's that's where them Lee boys are going to college too. I think these are long-term bloodline cult operations.
They are. They are. And his family owns the largest telecommunication company in the state. They literally have a monopoly on the entire communications in the state. I mean, that's like internet, phone, everything. Yep. They're the ones that have the contract with the NSA that brought the data center here. I mean, they're tied in. They're
thanks
they're
for that.
No shit. No
All
shit.
Right, so here's my first beef with him. He endorses Marco Rubio. That's the Muppet of all Muppets.
Yep.
And then he endorses Dildo Ted Cruz. Dildo Ted Cruz. I got a lot of say, and I call him Dildo Ted because he spent an inordinate amount of money when he was the Solicitor General of the state of Texas. I was living down there at the time. To prosecute a lady for having a sex toy sales party at her home, like them Tupperware parties with sex toys, whatever. And he terrorized. And again, I don't, one thing to be said about terrorizing citizens, but I was more, my dispute was more the money. This dude wasting millions of dollars, prosecute a pointless thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's done that a lot. I mean, he launched a lawsuit against TikTok because won't somebody please think of the children, and it's like, dude, you have the NSA in your state and you're saying that the Chinese is stealing children's data. Like the NSA is stealing all of our data. So shut the hell up about that. Like you don't care.
Dildo Ted's obviously a multi-generational deep stater. His dad knew Lee Harvey Oswald, who's down there on the streets passing out pamphlets, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And in fact, not only on top of that, we got there's a lot to be said about his wife. She's an interesting character in her family. She's the Texan, his wife. I think her name's strangely enough, I believe her name's also Heidi. No disrespect, ma'am. She's these are not nice people. You know what I mean?
No.
Right.
These Muppets. People think they're like, oh yeah, Ted Cruz saved the day. Mark, these people are Muppets, dude. They're not there because they've achieved, and they're there because they're dumb and depraved.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, they're MK Ultra'd from birth.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean,
a good character for that, right?
That's where MK Ultra comes from. Is all of these old bloodline families. This is how they raise their kids, and then MK Ultra came around because they were trying to put the science behind it and be able to get it down literally to a science. Because I mean,
Sounds accepted.
Blue bloods were raised all the way back hundreds, thousands of years, even. They are the absolute worst to their children, and they literally raise sociopaths. Like that's
I think it's seen time and time again. Yeah, and with Ted here, we know that some of the known knowns of some of the MK Ultra stuff as you're describing here, we know some of that went to Canada. In fact, some of it went to Alberta, where he, in fact, old Ted grew up. Old Dildo Ted grew up in Alberta.
Right. And I mean, it's still there. It never ended in Canada, just like it never ended here. Well,
that's the Mormon stronghold, right? Alberta.
One of them.
Sure, sir. Have you ever been to? Y'all ever heard of a town called Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada?
No.
I used to terrorize it quite a bit in my younger years. I was got into a lot of drinking incidents. I joined the Air Force at the age of 17, and I got in a lot of drinking incidents underage, and 3 or 4, a couple DUIs, that kind of deal. One DUI.
Right.
I refused to do any tests. You know what I mean? That was, and then as a result of that, they let's lock you up in front of this kid diddling, cannibalistic, psychopathic serial killer and see how you like that kid. And that's what happened there. That happened, But anyhow, so as a result of that, I used to drive to Canada from Great Falls, Montana on my days off. Me and my dudes just to go party, so we wouldn't get any more troubles, and. Lethbridge, strangely enough, I didn't realize it right off rip first couple trips, but Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada is like the Salt Lake City it's just straight up I-15 from Salt Lake, about 10 hours.
Right.
It's the Salt Lake City of Canada. And, because I started wondering why they weren't serving real beer and, why things were closing down at 11 o'clock. I mean, what's going on here? Like, oh, it's all Mormon stuff. And I was like, oh, typical.
All right.
So it's a stronghold up there, man. It's that whole core. Again, this is the nation. This is what I mean by the nation. It's a great segue. This is what I mean by the nation of Deseret. It's not just Salt Lake City. It goes up that whole corridor to the north and the whole corridor to the south.
Well, I mean, if you want my personal opinion of why that is, and this is not strictly a Mormon thing per se, although I do think that they're involved. Although, once again, factions, it's not strictly like, LDS, so like everyone's involved, but some factions are definitely using the corridor, especially the I-15 all the way up, all the way down. They use this corridor for human trafficking. And
they just arrested somebody for this. They were
and drug trafficking.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, I mean, well, let's see. The 3 big money makers are weapons, drugs, and humans. Right.
Well, there you go. And you can only sell one of those more than one. You can sell technically the gun, I guess, more than once, but you can sell one of those multiple times a day.
Right.
You pick which one it is.
And it's typically these, the more fundamentalist cults that are usually involved in the human trafficking stuff, because a lot of the kids that are born without birth certificates, social security numbers. And typically it's,
you mean like Israel Keys?
Right. Exactly like that. And so it's typically labor trafficking, but of course, the women are sold off, but I mean, the bulk of it definitely is the labor trafficking with the boys. And I mean, there's, I think I brought this up on the last show we had together. There's a group of boys here in Utah. They're called the Lost Boys, and they're the boys that were discarded. Their usage is, a labor vessel is done, and they pissed off the church somehow, so they got kicked out, and now they have nobody, and so they kind of gathered together, and they're called the Lost Boys. Really sad.
Oh, that's interesting.
Really,
that happens with the Hutterites in Montana. They're like the West Coast Amish.
They have to get rid of the young boys because then they don't have enough women. My brother-in-law, my ex-brother-in-law, he is Warren Jeff's nephew. And so, this happens. He's in jail now, but
but he's still running shit from jail, right?
He's still 100%. Running it.
Yeah.
Yep. And
so what's his deal? What's his deal? What was your take on all witness and all that shit?
Man, their only downfall for them as far as why he fell is because they still live by the order of Enoch, and so they could it was a money grab. That's all it was. I mean, they'd have left him alone. They don't care about anything else.
How many
Not
wives
really.
did he have under the age of 16?
I mean, 2 12-year-olds that were knocked up. I know that for sure.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah, I
Hard
mean,
to say it wasn't
I
you.
I
So,
I don't think we know officially like how many wives he had, because there's a lot of stuff he wouldn't admit to, and of course they're not going to talk. This
for
is,
sure. Well,
this
they
is
didn't
their
talk that
problem,
day, dude.
right?
So they had compounds in what, northern Arizona or southern Idaho, right? Arizona,
Montana, Colorado.
Yeah,
They've got them
all over the
everywhere.
place.
North Dakota.
The one they raided there was
Colorado
in Central
City.
Texas, right?
Texas. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Texas is where they would take the young boys usually to go, because the compound in Texas is their Zion. Like it's their it's their location, their Salt Lake City.
You can only go if you're
their Vatican.
invited. You can't just go.
Right. So when the feds raided this joint, and folks probably saw images and videos of folks walking out of this facility, so none of those folks would talk. So the feds ran that operation out of nearby Goodfellow Air Force Base. Lo and behold, I had no idea this was going on, obviously, but I was at Goodfellow Air Force Base when this popped off, because I was on a site visit, one of my bases. I worked for the MP headquarters outfit out of San Antonio, and one of the 12 bases I managed for, the military police equipment and manpower and money and shit for 12 bases in the command, one of which was Goodfellow Air Force Base. So I go out there for, just my normal visit, quarterly visit type of deal. And they're like, oh, hey, the feds are here. They're about to raid the local Mormons. I said, excuse me, what's going on? But none of them would talk. None of those folks would talk.
Well, no, because if they talk, that's just as good as going to hell. They're going to be exiled if they talk.
That's right.
So, and then if they're exiled, they lose everything.
And not just they, because my brother-in-law was exiled, and they went after his family. He didn't see his kids for like a decade, pretty much. They relocated his wives and kids before he even got home from Texas. He was sent back to have a talk with the uppers, and it was over such a minor thing. Then they did it to his dad and his brother and all these people, and they took all their wives and money, and they reassigned them immediately.
Yeah, and
his name is Isaac.
So he was
Isaac
a Jeff, right?
On Amazon. Yes, he's let me think. It's the other big name, Steed.
Yeah,
he's a Steed.
Oh,
so for anyone who doesn't,
S-T-E-D?
2 E's. Yep.
So here's the deal. Like I keep telling y'all that I grew up in the weirdest Mormon ward ever. I'll stand by that. We had steeds. We had here's another one we see repetitively here in the Kirk situation. Steels. We had steels. We had Lymans. Again, we had Lymans. I had one of Phil Lyman's distant cousins at that was again my closest friend and growing up in the church. He went on a mission. I did not. I joined the Air Force. I went on a different mission.
So for anyone who doesn't know, FLDS is like not the mainstream church. There's a huge riff in between both factions, because the FLDS believe that the mainstream church has actually walked away from the word of God because of the polygamy thing. And so I think there is a lot more mainstream crossover than people would like to admit, but at least officially there is no connection.
And for the question out here about the wives,
can you do this one officially?
And
because
for the wives
question,
they can have more than one wife. FLDS have many wives, upwards of I think Jeff's was close to 100. And then the women can only marry one husband, but if your husband gets kicked out, your marriage is no longer valid.
Right.
Therefore, you're assigned to a new husband immediately.
Well, and it's weird how it works too, because the leadership gets to choose their wives. However, the regular members, it's usually arranged marriages. So even if you don't want, So even if you don't want an extra wife, if the prophet tells you that you're getting an extra wife, you're getting an extra wife, period.
Yes.
Well,
and if you don't get 3 wives,
you argue with the Lord?
Yeah,
God is the Lord's prophet and overseer on earth.
Right.
If you don't get 3 wives, you can't go to heaven, to the top kingdom. And so and I did interview one of Warren Jeff's ex-wives as well. She escaped.
Interesting.
Yes,
No
that's
shit.
a
He
really
inherited
good
his
episode.
dad's wives.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Oh man, that's weird, dude.
And then they take sisters too, often pairs. The lady I interviewed,
wives.
she got out, and the other wife was his, like, her blood sister. Yeah.
And then this is also the strange part too. I mean, it's all strange.
Stranger than that, sir. I was about to say the only thing stranger than that, or close to it, is the Thomas Jefferson family. But I'll get into that in a moment. Go ahead, sir.
But there are people who like love this lifestyle. There are people who want nothing more than this life. But there are a lot of captives, meaning that there's a lot of people that don't want this life, and they are stuck.
She was drugged and kept against her will. This is episode 129, and she fought for her life. Brielle Decker. Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to check that out. That sounds great.
I'll put a link in the show notes for you, ma'am.
She ran away. Everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's hell for these people, and I mean, what's crazy is I've talked to friends of mine within the mainstream LDS church that some of this happens within the mainstream church as well. Some of the men treat their wives just the same, and it's
well,
I don't know, it's tolerated because it's not really talked about.
It's the culture. It's very much baked in. And if you can hold that thought for one moment, please. Our channel, I'm glad to see you back. See you didn't leave there, sir, and I'm glad to see you're always still doing things. Keeping it real, if you will, there, and keeping it wrong is what I mean.
I mean,
somehow this individual, the CIA AI bot, seems to think that 2 different independent studies by 2 different geologists spanning 100 years apart, one of which was the state geologist of the state of Minnesota, seems to indicate something that the Kensington runestone is fake. I would say that individual, that bot, that is, has no idea how to read.
That's interesting. I wonder how he came to that conclusion.
Yeah, well, probably like most things, applied no thought. And, there is this, speaking of things Mormon, I follow a Mormon fellow on the Twixter, and I do appreciate his ancient alien and cargo cult reporting on the Skinwalker Ranch business and making them look he doesn't have to make them look ridiculous. They are ridiculous. And Stephen Greenstreet over there at the New York Post, he's a former ex-Mo. He went on a mission and whatnot as well. I think he's a graduate of UVU. He was the first person on Twixter to see that I saw post the Patterson Gimlin footage of the character running across the roof.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, he recently did a whole thing about how folks, kind of the NPC thought, right? How folks don't have an inner monologue. I'm like, I think I know one of those non-inner monologues. Our channel.
I looked into that not too long ago. It's something I like to keep fresh in my mind, the stats. And I think the last time I checked, it was something like 60%, 65%. And you know what? That just makes
I buy it, dude.
A lot of sense.
I buy it. What I'm not buying is that Charlie Kirk got shot at all and has these white sneakers.
Right. And there's also
no one around him has any blood. None of that security team took up any defensive posture. No one pulled their fucking gun. Dude, I'll pull my gun on far less. I'm just saying.
I mean, he got rid of his longtime security team earlier this year. So, I mean, he
replaced them with Mormons, right? He said that.
Zionists, actually.
Oh,
well, he said they were Mormons.
Even worse. Seems to have replaced them with the process. So his head of security worked for 14 years for a software company that is utilized in all process locations.
So that's going to be a Mormon who's not a Mormon. Because that
sounds
like
it's the same difference, right? They're the same difference, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you guys can look it up on the video. He was saying right before he said, I love Mormons and you guys need to get your mojo back. And I don't hate on Mormons. I'm not that kind of Christian. In fact, half my team is Mormon. So-and-so's a Mormon. And so he names them by name. So-and-so's a Mormon.
Charlie Kirk says this.
Yes. Yes,
I
you
know.
could probably
You have
find
that
it.
clip?
Yeah, I know he
No,
spoke highly
you
of the
can find it.
Mormons, which is kind of odd because, you know, a lot of non-Mormon Christians, you know, talk a lot of shit. So that is kind of interesting.
And then then he gets taken out right after that. So it's kind of
I'm bringing this up here.
Yeah,
Boom,
so
right. So Dan Flood
somebody
was the
pointed
guy we
out
see in
in
the background. Oh, go ahead, sir.
Somebody pointed out in the chat, and this is what I was referring to is he was on Bill Maher's show and talked about, like, if you want good security, go with the Israelis.
Oh, I seen that clip. Well,
Yeah.
this dude's not Israeli, and to the best of my knowledge, not Mormon from my estimations and analysis. You know, I gave him an ocular pat down. But this Dan Flood guy on their website, listed link there. I'll put a link to this Twixt on there. He worked for this veterinary software company. He was their head, their training consultant or whatever it says, and ran their training team. So hard to believe he doesn't know the process, since that's the recommended software at the process veterinary locations.
Yes.
So why is a dude for 14 years doing that? The head of security for Turning Point USA.
Yeah, that's odd. And he would be new security.
And he's right there. He links on there for the website. He's listed on their own website. Not on the same the advisory council where you'll find Mikey Aquino's psyops to Mindware buddy, General QAnon General Paul Valle. He's on there,
right?
Advisory council, but he's listed on the staff there. Head of security, Dan Flood, and you'll see him in the video. It's the dude doing the weird arm stuff with the the blue shirt and the tank top or the polo short sleeve.
Right.
That's him. Yeah, none of these folks have any blood on them. At the scene down there below, the witness statements we see from Phil Lyman's buddy saying he sloped forward in the chair. Again, this is a Dan Rather moment. He never sloped forward in the chair, just like JFK's head never sloped forward or went forward in the Dan Rather said, I saw the video and his head went violently forward. And we see Charlie Kirk going back and to the left, comically, if you will, in satirical fashion, JFK wise. And we see the JFK rifles. It's the same damn script. And then but at no point in time did he slope forward. So we see one of those security guys jump over and tackle him and put him into the ground.
Right.
I don't want to play the snuff film for everybody. I'm just describing it.
That is kind of an odd move. Now that you're pointing it out,
back and to the left.
On IG, I sent you that Mormon clip, just so you know, if you want to pull it. Yeah.
And
it doesn't show the murking. It doesn't show.
Okay, thank you. I got stuck in a Charlie Kirk snuff film going back and to the left.
No. Yeah. No, it wasn't that. No, I get it. Yep. I get it. 100%.
I wasn't expecting it either. You know what I mean? I refused to even look at the details for days after that. I'm like, I'll let the dust settle because this is ridiculous. And Heidi, you said the same thing to me, I believe, as well. Like, this is ridiculous. Let's let the dust settle. I'm like, I agree.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So this is another thing, and I think that's important to point out. And I know I brought this up last show. There's many people that will use the church as cover.
For sure.
They'll use the blanket. I mean, any organization, this isn't like exclusive to the LDS church, right? But now knowing that there's this process connection, the process love using the blanket of the church to be able to hide their abilities. So, and that's what I would mean by a Mormon who's not a Mormon.
I like where your brain holds at, sir. And when we have a national security process Mormon intersection with Brent Scowcroft, who, along with those Satanist fellows you were talking about before there, with Bowen and that crew, we have the Hamblins founded Kanab. Kanab, I always pronounce it wrong. Potato. But and along with the ancestors of Scowcroft, and Scowcroft was a national security advisor and butt buddy to Henry Kissinger, and national security advisor to 3 U.S. presidents, and VP of Kissinger and Associates, and Scowcroft's right hand man, JJ Bryan, not me. I'm JJ Vance, and not the vice president. JJ Bryan, a real spooky motherfucker who I believe is still alive and running a Scientology cult out of Oregon. That's a horse of a different color. He was the assistant to Scowcroft and broke off and started a neo-process cult called Victorianism, which invaded Hollywood, specifically Nickelodeon, and recruited Amanda Bynes, the actress. And I assert she's the head of that cult still today. Because it is goddess worship. It's always a female, Marianne de Grimston, head of the process. Heidi cited some stuff about the goddess worship within the mothership, which I can't recall, but I'm sure she can provide us those details.
Yep.
Right.
Well, God, the goddess worship in general with the mother in heaven that they will not name, right? Who's
Right.
more important there than the one you can name or the one you don't name? I mean,
There you go. So
hello.
we see
Right.
the alien stuff, the goddess stuff. We see the ideological and philosophical overlapping. The white supremacy between the two organizations. They're all a bunch of Nazis.
And they
Yeah.
literally are. And
Literally,
to be
I don't
honest,
say that without. Yeah, I mean literally, right?
Yeah.
and we can't, like he said, look, it's just the horses of a different flavor. Yes, the regular Mormons don't know anything about this stuff, but when we get to the top elites, they are all in this together with the
Right.
Catholics, with the process, with the Scientology, they're all just slightly different shades of pink or gray
Right.
or
Yep.
whatever.
And they all do spooky stuff.
They
Yeah.
do. 100%.
Yeah, and I do want to take just a second to like point out, and this is my opinion. I view like your average Mormon. So there's two different factions in my opinion. You have LDS and you have Mormons. Mormons typically are going to be all of these different factions, the ones doing the spooky things and stuff. In my opinion, the LDS people are people that are you would never even know, but this is just their faith. It's just like any other Christian, and they're good people, and that's just how it is. And whether you agree with, the LDS church or not, it's just, it is what it is, So I do view, your average Mormon or your average LDS person is just like anyone else, it's just that they're LDS. And so I always kind of viewed it that way.
I like Heidi's. Yes, sir. I think you're spot on. I like Heidi's references. It's the porch Mormons.
The porch Mormons. Yeah, because they don't know.
Right.
It's just like the Catholics. I mean, they have all these different things. And then we've got Opus Dei and we've got, the top of the top Vatican. And the Mormons are the same way. These regular people, like if you talk to my mother-in-law, who is still very Mormon and very nice, she would pass out over knowing half of this stuff. She just is the nicest person. Like there's just no way.
Yep. Yeah. Same with my mother. She is a devout Mormon, and I love my mom to death. The nicest lady you would ever meet, and it's just her faith. And
they teach you how to ask
and
questions.
why is it her faith?
Don't ask no questions. You know what I mean? That's kind of what they drill into you, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, and we were raised in it. That's why it was my faith when I was younger and stuff. Of course, now I'm leaning definitely more towards like the Orthodox Christianity. That's just kind of my flavor that speaks to me, although I'm not an Orthodox, at least yet. I don't know where that will take me, but it's just, I mean, everyone has their own faith.
I'm sort of a heathen now. I belong to none. I just believe in the Bible.
Right. Well, and
y'all are making some
I'm a
great
heathen.
points, but you're not allowed to ask questions when you're in the mothership, right?
I mean, yeah, but I mean, some still do. I mean, Mormons aren't supposed to.
I asked a lot of questions, sir, and they did not appreciate it.
Right.
Me too.
But I mean, so did I. But I used to work at one of the state liquor stores here, and there were Mormons all the time. So even though they're not supposed to do things, they still do things. So
here's one question I asked. We had one black family in my ward growing up. We had one Hawaiian family. They were part of the Hawaiian royal family. So there was no beef there. But the one black family, the father, he stood in the back every Sunday, and I would ask, this is when I moved to Cincinnati. So this is when I was like 10, and I'd ask him like, what's this dude doing? And I eventually had asked the dude like, hey bud, they got some seats up there, friend, and I didn't realize they didn't allow folks who weren't white. Anyone who wasn't white was not allowed to get the priesthood until 1978. So this dude had joined a church that already shunned him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then decided to have a family. And I thought that was a weird, looking back, I'm like, that's a weird dynamic. Having my own family, I'm like, how did that dude have a decision? I was like, I'm going to join this church who seemingly hates me because I'm black, and then have a family to raise in it. I mean, again, everyone was nice to them. For most, forward interactions, there was a little bit of secret racism kind of bouncing around the whole environment. It was pretty obvious, but if you looked at it. But isn't it strange that was kind of a thing, that until 1978, they were pretty openly racist.
Yeah. I mean, the belief, is that there was the skin of Cain, I think.
No, worse. This is worse. So
worse, huh?
the Cain curse is certain brown people, but the other curse for black people specifically is the war in heaven. And that the black people didn't choose which side to go on, so they became fence sitters. And many of my grandparents used that term clear until I can't remember, like in the 90s, pretty much.
Right.
And they would say things like, you don't want to marry a fence sitter, right? And so when Lucifer fell and the angels fell with him that were on his side, these people that sat on the fence became black and cursed with the skin of blackness.
Right. Right.
Yikes.
Yeah. Ham. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, and this is kind of like where the mainstream church like splits off, because there are also factions that still hold on to this as well.
For
the
sure,
FLDS holds on to this. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I say that there's factions, like there are probably hundreds at this point. You know, it is all over the place. So even though like we say like LDS or Mormon or whatever, like it's just kind of hard to like nail down exactly who we're talking about, because there's just so many.
Well, I have a good idea of who we're talking about, and that's Phil Lyman, sir. He's definitely part of one faction. I got another clip here for us on
sir.
that.
Fast forward to me looking into the witness list, and obviously we spoke about this Tiffany Peterson Barker, that very weird clip of her with her nieces at like 4 a.m. in the morning, just speaking on Good Morning America, and her energy was just weird to me. I thought her being there was weird. Obviously, this is my podcast. I can say whatever I want. We reached out to her, and then she gave us a ton of information, but never actually presented to us. She never sent me directly any footage that could verify that she was there when Charlie Kirk got shot. Okay. And she was a bit upset that I didn't clarify that. I thought it was weird that she wouldn't just text me the footage, because it didn't allow me to confirm that she was where she said she was. That's what metadata is for. Metadata instantly will say, here's where you were at what time, and this is this person's iPhone. So I wasn't going to lie to my audience. I just told you guys, hey, you can check her out on her Instagram. Here's her excuse. She says that this is why her nieces said that, and we sort of moved on, right? But then I learned from Nick that the photo of the person who was wearing that black suit and dark sunglasses had come from Tiffany Barker's mother. I was like, well, that's weird, whatever. And then you'll recall we learned from Tiffany when I was trying to figure out, how did you get this hit on Good Morning America? Like, did you share something that would have had them reach out? Well, then I told you, she told us, actually, Phil Lyman is the person that put me on Good Morning America. My sister ran with him as lieutenant governor. And I was like, oh, okay. So Phil Lyman got you that position on Good Morning America. You had a
Keeps coming up, Phil.
Keeps coming up, Phil.
I don't trust her either.
The interviews, the eyewitness statements. We haven't even gotten to his eyewitness statements. That gets real sketchy.
She's a Jesuit trained, though. I don't know about her.
Well, here's the deal. We're looking at factions, right? So she keeps on using this source from Spencer Cox's staff. This guy who's under pseudonym, whose name is Nick, and who homeboy Phil Lyman has been putting on blast every chance he gets with his real name. I forget.
Right. Well, and that's kind of a whole just weird situation, just like how they're all tied together, and then how Candace is bringing all of them together and tying them in.
Super weird,
yeah,
dude.
I don't trust her.
It's a psychodrama playing out across some sort of psychological operations on top of psychological operations.
Or it's another psyop, right?
He didn't die that day, at least.
Yeah.
See, I do think that
you heard about the Valhalla and the Valhalla CIA witness protection program, right?
I seen some stuff about that. What you got on? Can you refresh my brain?
So, yeah, it's just it was on the Tyler kids screen, the picture of the CIA Valhalla, and then that's where it was
an island in New Zealand, right?
Which is a witness protection program. And then he says, "I'll see you in Valhalla," and I was like,
right.
Okay.
Well, what else is interesting is Eric Kirk's grandfather was part of a Masonic lodge and Viking club in, I think, Kenosha, Wisconsin. Strangely enough, huh? A lot of psyops went off in Kenosha, didn't they?
Well, that one is really, really weird. So I do have the info on that.
Well,
he was,
that dude.
yeah.
Well, that dude, my mate, real quick, ma'am. That dude, he had some Valhalla stuff in his obituary, and
Of course, yeah.
by the side of Cincinnati, the King of Sweden.
Yes, he was in the Independent Order of Vikings, a fraternal
There you go.
benefit society founded by the Swedish Americans in 1890. It uses rituals and symbolism and ceremonial purposes that are part of esoteric tradition. So this is different than Oddfellows or Masons, and they are ceremonial, and they keep saying not a cult. And I'm like, yes, you are.
A cult.
Yeah, they're like
Yeah.
esoteric, not a cult, all these other things. Oh, please don't
Okay,
talk
same
about that.
same shit.
If there anything
Splitting
like the
hairs.
ancient, oh, what's that, sir?
Just splitting hairs, you know.
And
Oh
I
yeah,
thought,
well they have all these ethnic organizations like this. I'm familiar with one called the Ancient Order of Iberia.
yes,
Right.
yeah. And
I'm
there's
sorry, I'm disregard, not Iberia, Hibernia. I'm a poor Irishman here. I can't even pronounce the island's name.
Hyperborea.
The Ancient Order of Hibernia, and the leader of which his father was the Grand Wizard of their little local chapter in Cincinnati. Their dude's son died a very mysterious death. I'll just leave it at that. It's a horse of a different color and a topic for a different day. But I was tangentially involved in some investigatory aspects in the aftermath of said activities. He didn't die by suicide, I'll tell you that much, even though the locals said suicide.
Yeah, well,
Right.
and then this takes place in Orem, and the surname Orem is in Old English or Germanic names linked to meaning serpent or dragon in Old Norse. Murdered at
Interesting.
31.
So, did the Lymans found Orem? Is they're the
We gotta
founding
find.
people
I'll
here?
look that one up.
So there was a Fort Utah that was down in that kind of area. I know that they were one of the main families in Fort Utah. I don't know if you could technically say that they had founded Orem, but if you can't, it's not far off, if that makes sense. So I mean, they're right there in the thick of it, just like a lot of other people, you know. So they
that
were
made
definitely
me laugh.
yeah, right. Definitely kind of like they were one of the higher up families when all of the Mormons out here, you know, moved out here. So they were amongst the blue
Landing,
bloods.
right?
I do want to mention one more thing about this special Viking cult, whatever it is, not esoteric, not a cult. They buy all of their members life insurance. How can we say the beginning of Ensign Peaks? I had to. It's weird.
That
So
is
I don't know much about Blanding.
In
That is where
Chicago.
Phil Lyman
In
was
Chicago.
born.
In Chicago is where.
Oh, what's that, ma'am?
Started in Chicago.
Really?
Well, that's where the Franzvies are from. So it looks like the Franzvies and the Kirks may go back longer than just Erica and Chuck here.
So Phil Lyman was born in Blanding.
Yeah, he was born in Blanding.
Interesting.
What's Blanding? I don't know that town.
Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
That's Wyoming.
Yes, but real close. Just a hop, skip, and
I thought that was Utah's.
No, Blanding, Wyoming, right? I'll Google it, but I'm 80%.
I'm not sure. No, it's San Juan County, ma'am. San Juan County.
Well, there is a Blanding,
The two
Wyoming. But,
Utes. It was the two Utes.
so if it's in San Juan,
named after Nellie Grayson Lyman, wife of settler Joseph Lyman.
So
No
yeah,
shit.
if he's in
Blanding is
Utah,
as well. Yeah. So we don't
Yeah.
know which Blanding. Yeah.
So if he is in Blanding, Utah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
But
No,
I
it's
mean,
right here.
that is out in the no. I'm not saying
No.
it doesn't exist. What I'm
No,
saying
it's
is
right here. His ancestors settled it.
right. But
Yeah.
can somebody confirm that that's where he was born? is
Oh
what
no,
I'm
I can
saying.
confirm that. I looked up his parents. I've done a whole ocular pat down, sir. It is Blanding, Utah.
So that's out.
There
in
may
the
be a
middle of
Blanding,
nowhere.
Wyoming. I'm not sure, man, but this is where Phil Lyman's from.
So that's out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh,
Like
okay.
San Juan County is, you know,
Yeah,
four
southwest,
corners.
right? Or southeast, I'm sorry, right?
Yeah, so that bottom corner, southeast
Hey.
corner
In the
of the
four
It's
state.
real close to
corners.
Kanab.
Yep.
That's really an important area,
Kanab's
right?
a little bit closer to the southwest.
It's right
but
here.
yeah, it's so Kanab is in that. So
About
you've
40
got
miles, right?
it's probably a little bit further than that, but so you've got those three counties right on the bottom, right? and you've got one in the southwest. We're looking at San Juan, which is in the southeast.
Confirmed it is Utah as well. Why we're chatting here.
Let's take a gorgeous tour through the southern part of Utah here, where you can't go from one spot to another in a straight line.
Yeah, like I said, it's in that middle county.
Yeah,
you've got the three counties right in the bottom.
Miles, dude, by the roadways.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's it.
You've got to go around.
Really.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's not in San Juan County. But yeah, San Juan County is actually one of the poorest counties in the state. Lots of natives
that's not
out there.
San Juan County?
No.
Oh shit.
Yes, it says it is.
Is it?
Yeah, it says it is.
Yeah, it says San Juan. He was the San Juan County commissioner.
You tell me, folks. You're all the Deseret natives. I've only been there a couple.
I'm reading it. I'm just reading it because I had to look it up. Phil was a San Juan
I've driven
County
to the area of
commissioner.
the state. It's very gorgeous down there. I've been down to the the Archways Park
and grew up. Yeah, it says he grew up in San Juan County in Blanding.
Okay,
very gorgeous country down there. I'm not sure about the people down there. They all seem a bit strange.
Well, this is where we get into the break off of the satanic LDS church because
typical.
they go southern. Yes, of course.
Typical.
And they go southern.
Rotary
Utah.
Club.
Yep, Rotary's big connects.
So that whole cult focused around southern Utah. What did it do up in Utah County then with David Leavitt, where Utah Valley University is, strangely enough?
But he ended up in southern.
Kanab is in Kane County.
But it says he grew up.
What I'm saying is, how did this cult from the
is in
south?
Kane County.
Oh,
how did this go from the south and end up including David Leavitt, the prosecuting attorney for the county of Utah County, where this Kirk event happened?
Right.
That's 4 hours north.
Little bit longer, but yeah.
Okay. Well, my estimations of your states are way off, so I will defer to you on that one.
Well, I mean, you're not too far off, but yeah, I mean, so St. George from like where I am is like 6 hours. So I'm about an hour away from UVU.
Okay. So when we're looking at Kanab, how am I saying it again?
Kanab.
Kanab. We're looking at Kanab. We see that's home of the process, aka the Best Friends Animal Society. And when I say the process, this is the Utah State Business Secretary of State Business Registry. We can see that the Best Friends Animal Society was founded as a domestic corporation on the summer solstice of 1968. That was the invasion of the process as a domestic nonprofit corporation, bunch of Muppets, and it's still active today because under the name. So they just changed the name on the flag, on the sign. It's still the same corporation.
Yep.
And we see the evidence of that here, but because, Netflix, Josh Seaman, a bunch of other, Nazi Satanist propagandists all want to say, oh, well, the process suspended in 1974.
Well, just so you know, they named it under the Wilderness Society here in the county we were talking about, because I just happen to still be on this page. And they are talking all about your boy Lyman being on the board and chairman of these
what is this
situations. So
what's the Wilderness Society,
chairman,
man?
Yeah, it's
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. So says he was over this. So
let's
we need to look into that.
Let me bring that up here real quick. Let's ruminate on this matter for a second. How is it this operation has been going on in southern Utah since 1968 and no one talked about it until the 1990s? The first reference.
And people have talked
Lyman's
about
over
it, but
this.
they get silenced.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is this all wrapped up in the same matters as you're describing with this David Leavitt, the Hamblins, right?
Let's not forget about David Leavitt, who said when no one asked, I'm not a cannibal. No one asked.
Me and my wife.
Ma'am, it's totally normal for a politician to schedule a press conference, let everybody know, just get on the table that he does not diddle kids and he does not eat them. You just want to let folks know that sometimes.
Yes.
It's obvious. That's what I'm saying. It's obviously a Muppet world, but how does Muppet world up north in Utah? He's obviously part of the same cult business down there. And what is that the epicenter down there? Has it always been going on now? Because again, Everyone talks about the process in New Orleans and the process here and the process. They, according to all documents, they registered in the state of Utah as a domestic corporation on June 21st, 1968. And in that corporate document, it says that they report to an organization called the Quorum of the 70. They don't identify the Quorum of the 70, so thus by default,
is it the Quorum of the 50
70
or 70?
Well, the only other Quorum of the 70, ma'am, in the state of Utah is in fact the mothership. I'm saying we all understand there's secret organizations like the Quorum of the 50, but I'm saying documented corporate entities within the state of that they've registered as a domestic corporation, meaning if you don't identify in your own corporate records, you're deferring to within the state that's registered. This is the legal understanding. I'm not an attorney.
Yep.
I'm also not the vice president, but my understanding is if you don't identify, it defers to an organization registered within the state as a domestic corporation. Therefore, it would defer to the Quorum of the 70 for the mothership. So it seems like the mothership may have been running the process since June 21st, 1968. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I sent you that Wilderness Society thing.
Kind of the height of the process, you know? So, I don't know.
Well, what is that? I missed that.
That 68, I mean, that's kind of the height of the process, right? That's when they're still out public.
Oh, well, I mean, they didn't really go non-public until about 1984.
Right. But I mean, so 68, this is when they're out walking around California in their weird capes.
Dogs, dude. They're on TV. They're doing magazines, newspapers, dude. They're on the whole campaign.
Right. Well, and Best Friends is huge
on all college campuses.
Best Friends is huge out here. Like, I mean, they're one of the only no-kill shelters, which is crazy to me that they're one of the only no-kill animal shelters. And I mean, also they are assholes by the way. So
they bring in about $150 million a year. They run more electricity than a small city, according to a report from the early aughts.
Yes, they do. And there's a lot of strange happenings in that town. It's a weird town. I mean, you go through there and it's like you're being watched the entire time you're there. Regardless
of their own government. They don't make, if you ever go down to the FLDS, I'm assuming they still have their own sheriff, like cops, everything. They will chase you out of there with in a high-speed chase with guns.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Well, it seems like it's what's known as Little Hollywood. So they actually got that from Disney, some of their property. Jack Nicholson had a little piece of some of the action over there too, it seems. The last film that was filmed there was The Outlaw Josie Wales before the process got their hands on it. That was 1976, I believe. And so you have this weird machination of this obvious cult activity, ritualistic satanic business. You got the mothership, you got the Hollywood business. So that's what I'm saying. If the process has been, the puppeteers of the process has been the mothership of the Quorum of the 70 since 1968, we now have context of what the fuck's going on with a lot of these things.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean,
because again, someone's pulling the strings on this. On its face, I think you can circumstantial argument. If you're in the state of Utah, someone signed off on it within the mothership, right?
Right.
They've had major complaints against him for sexual misconduct and misogynistic. I can't say that damn word. You know what I'm saying?
Misogynistic.
Yes, unprofessional conduct.
I forgot about this clip,
That's
Heidi.
standard
what
for
was this
anyone
clip?
here in Utah.
That's Charlie Kirk talk about the Mormons.
Yeah, and so before we play this one and your next one, there was another Mormon fellow that jumped up and immediately after the shooting, right? And he was like, "Oh," and saying a bunch of wild stuff.
He's a loophole that's wild. He's a whole show. This guy.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yes, he's been at all kinds of different setups, including the Boston bombing. He's been.
You're talking about George Zen? No, ma'am. No, I'm talking about.
Not him.
TikToker.
Okay.
There was a Mormon TikToker. He goes by Hawaiian Mormon TikToker or something like that. He jumped up and started yelling a bunch of crazy stuff.
I know what you're talking. I know who you're talking about.
George Zen, though, you're right. He's the Forrest Gump of Parapolitics, and he works at a local Mormon thrift shop. And by the way, if you went on Phil Lyman's website, he wrote a recommendation and referral for Phil Lyman as a constituent on his website.
So
Go figure.
And anyone I mean, he did also write one for Cox as well, but
that's even
so
creepier.
anyone who is interested, I do have a copy of that now deleted podcast of George Zinn. Anyone that wants to take a listen to that, I'll gladly send them the link, or you guys can find it on my Telegram. It's just right there, right in my main channel. So anyone that wants to check that out, it's about an hour long, and it's George Zinn actually being interviewed. I was able to snag a copy of that, so it's weird.
Nice,
it's
dude.
really weird.
Heidi, this is great stuff. No, that's great stuff. If you can send me that, like a link to it, I'll put it in the show notes too, sir. Heidi, this is great stuff. I haven't seen this clip. So Andrew and Terrell, he says, are Mormons on his team. Is that Andrew Clavin, his co-host?
He'll even say it. I think he says it live on this. I'm pretty sure.
He just says Andrew. Yeah, I'll have to get into that more because that'd be interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. This has been I held my tongue, but this was the first thing I saw, and I thought, oh my gosh. Yeah. And there is
He says half his team is Mormon, and he starts naming a couple. He says Terrell and Andrew, but Andrew's a co-host, and the dude who's making a lot of these statements, against, in opposition to Candace's statements.
Yeah, when you play it, it will have the words and everything so people can see it, but it's only a couple seconds long. But I think it's worth playing because people immediately forgot. Like, nobody remembered this. Nobody. And I was like, what the heck? He's in Utah talking about Mormons and then gets murked? What?
I've been following a lot of this shit, and I hadn't seen that clip, so I appreciate that.
I don't think I've even seen that. That's wild.
Are you gonna play it? Yeah.
Oh, do you want me to play it again?
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah, I can do that. Boom.
Right there.
I might have to recycle. I might already went halfway through.
Mormons and missionaries around the world. I heard my team is Mormon. Terrell's a Mormon. Andrew's a Mormon. Mormons are great.
Wow.
Yeah. How about that?
I'm going to say, everybody, I'm an evangelical Christian. We're going to have fun with this.
It's weird.
I bet that's Andrew Clavin is his co-host and associate there, like his number two.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting because we keep seeing a bunch of number twos. Elon Musk has got his little pocket Mormon, and everybody. Howard Hughes obviously had his little pocket Mormons, the gays. That's right.
But I mean, this makes sense though, because it's kind of like Mormons like to position themselves in these positions.
Oh, they're going to say inside Cash Patel. I thought you were going to go that angle. But
as soon as I saw it, and he's talking about Mormons, what comes to my mind? CIA. You're just talking about the feds, man.
Yeah, but
that's all that is.
Look at look at the Mormon stink on the situation. It's everywhere.
Right. Well, I thought it was kind of weird
including on Cash Patel.
So he was making 2 stops here in Utah, which was super strange because his very first stop was at UVU, and then he was leaving, going to Colorado, doing like 2 or 3 more, or like how many ever stops, and then he was coming back to go to the CIA headquarters here in Utah, which is the U of U, Utah University. So,
totally normal, sir.
Right.
Yeah, and it's honestly his wife's mom, bro. Like, I just
mind you that the U of U did some experiments back in the early 2000s. They actually did some experiments on radio waves to figure out how to liquefy your organs with a directed energy weapon. I've got those documents, which are wild.
Also, Ammon Bundy, there is a lot on that Ammon Bundy case,
the whole
and
Bundy
BLM,
family.
and
the whole
I've
Bundy
done
family is
a bunch on that. It's on my Patreon.
I mean, on and above the skull and bone stuff that Heidi's pointed out to me on Utah State University.
I have to tell you something about that.
Allen Key.
So not just Allen Key. No, there's something at Chicago University that ended after, but the prophet now, it was there when he was in, called Al and Serpent, and it's so secretive. Yes, I'll find this.
Cool.
It's so secretive that, of course, they don't have the names, but he was there when it was happening and it was still active, and they have tried to bury it, and it looks so close to Alan Key's like stuff that it is wild. But it is called Al and Serpent Society. And of course, it's just, they're just a friendly whatever. But it was,
I think that's what Phil
disbanded.
Lyman and Spencer Cox, that's their little pet names for each other. You know, Alan Serpent.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Wait till you see the logo. Wait till you'll laugh even harder. It's a circle with the L in the middle, and
You've got to be kidding me.
We are currently having this conversation. Heidi and Jacob J, I thank you all both again for joining me here tonight to get a little GCD.
Oh, no way.
The interwebs. Thank you all for joining us as well to get a little GCD. We're currently able to get a little GCD courtesy of DARPA in the university in Utah State University, where they developed the ARPA web. And in fact, the daughter of these people. What's that, sir?
One of 4 original nodes of the internet was U of U.
And one of the people that wrote the software, her husband was the head of DARPA, and their daughter is somehow tangentially associated in a weird capacity with the Idaho 4 murders.
Oh man.
Well, and think about this. I mean, Utah was the connection place of the Transcontinental Railroad. We were the connection place.
Well, you can't say that, sir.
Internet.
We don't know what gender they were. That might have been a regular railroad.
The railroad is a rabbit hole.
Yes, it is, especially here in Utah. It is wild. Major hub.
Bad.
And I mean, there's several times throughout history that Utah has been one of the connection points to the major technological innovations of the world, including AI. There's all sorts of things going on here with it. And it seems like we always end up being some form of Pandora's box. You know, that's this state. I think that's the best way to explain it, is Pandora's box.
Well, we have our own Area 51.
Sir.
Yeah.
Right.
And we have, bombs testing. We've got the downwinders. It's a mess. Yeah.
If by Pandora's box, you mean Phil Lyman's box, I think that's what we're currently dealing with.
I do want to linger on a moment for what you just told us, and I'm going to ask the team to pull back up that surveillance footage that we've gotten from TMZ, from those neighborhood cameras. You said that in that footage is your driveway, and you parked there at 11:30 a.m. We know this footage that you're looking at was taken at 11:49 a.m. So you would have been on that street, that driveway, 19 minutes.
Right across. Yeah, it's not my driveway. It's my aunt's driveway. Parking lot was very full. He's walking in front of my aunt's house there right now. And my cousin's house is the driveway that is taking that photo. And my CRV, the gray CRV in the distance there, that is my car. I parked there probably 10 minutes before he walked by. And I had not seen this footage till just now. And it just keeps so many things that keep linking up. It's really astonishing to me. And then we went back to this house afterwards. They thought they had the shooter. So I took a friend of mine. We went back to my aunt's house and said, well, we'll just hang out here for a while. And before long, the people were combing the backyard. As you saw, she had the footage.
So there's that TMZ footage you're referencing before. And I like his deflection. He's like, oh, it's not my house. It's my aunt's house. Well, he didn't answer the question. He's just deflected.
Well, and what are the odds that that's the street that Tyler would walk down? Like what are the odds?
Yeah, what are the odds that the TMZ got that too for anyone else? And they cut out the portion that the homeboy later talks about an InfoWars saying, well, there was a lady with him. Well, why would you provide some other? Why would you edit that out, Phil?
Right.
I want to know if there's proof of life of this kid since I don't know when. That's what I want to know.
I want to know that this isn't one of our channels, CIA AI bots, because I don't know that Tyler Robinson existed as a human being in a real world capacity outside of digital pictures and papers.
Right.
Not
Well,
a lot of evidence of it.
If somebody is in jail, still on suicide watch, at least officially. Mm-hmm. So that means his mind is going to mush. Sleep deprivation, sensory deprivation. I mean, it's literal, old school MK Ultra tactics.
It's fucking, dude, it's Guantanamo Bay shit, dude.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I mean, he's going to be in, he's going to be in Salt Lake County jail.
Who knows what they're doing? Yeah, they're probably.
Let's ruminate on it. Oh, go ahead, ma'am.
Oh, I was just saying they're probably doing all kinds of sounds. They can make you psychotic. This is simple. Yeah.
It's Utah County
They can
jail,
play you fucking Muppet chorus 24/7. They'll drive you real nuts.
I mean, Utah County Jail is one of a very well-known MK Ultra location. I mean, Same with the Utah State Prison, both old and new. So I mean, it's if he is there, if that's who he is, which I mean, at least until we have some, other evidence otherwise, I'm
Hold
open
that
to
thought,
that
please.
not being him.
So my point about all of the Tyler Robinson business is, again, let's ruminate on some of these matters regarding court procedures, due process, matters of liberty, the U.S. Constitution, and America. We're told, amongst all these other nonsense, we're just on the court proceedings, just specifically, they show us the court proceedings of a judge. They won't show us him. We get some very, I wouldn't say completely grainy, but it ain't a high definition mugshot. Let's be honest about that situation. Wearing a suicide vest, we're told he's on suicide watch. So we're painting these narratives. We're seeing no proof. We're given laser tag Ted levels of evidence, and they may have shot Ted twice. It's undetermined at this point. Sadly, we'll never know. Ted passed, not from poisoning. That's what the Night of Malta told us that. But what I'm getting at here is this is a level of evidence. I just want to see some evidence, right? And now we're seeing now we see the states allowed to pick his attorney.
Yeah, I mean, allegedly he needed a public defender.
But the guy running for Utah County District Attorney, sir, is picking his attorney.
Right. I don't know. I mean,
sounds like Sirhan to me. That's what.
Right. Like what are,
right.
And again, how far is this separated from the David Leavitt I don't need kids situation in the same county?
He went to Scotland. He has a castle there.
Yeah.
So he's eating kids there now. Great.
Right. Him and his wife always wanted to, buy a castle and renovate it. So they have their own HGTV thing going on.
This is real.
There.
This is actually real.
Yeah. But I mean, he still has his family here. His family's all over the place. And it is kind of interesting. Like I said, we didn't get a perp walk from Tyler Robinson. Although the next court appearance, which is supposed to be at the end of November, I think, is supposed to be his first in person. So we'll see exactly what he looks like. My guess is he's going to be something looking like James Holmes and how he looked in his court appearances. So
you are correct, sir. That is the scheduled plan. I'm just not. I'll believe it when I see it.
Right. I mean, so here is one thing. His public defender is a woman that I have met before. Through other matters.
She's off the case.
Is she?
That's what I'm saying. That they introduced this whole new thing. They're like, hey, we can do this because it's Utah, it's Deseret. We can now have this guy who's running for county prosecutor. Who's not the county prosecutor yet, but he may as well be because he's, it's not. He's being. I don't think he's even being challenged. Like he's even being challenged in the race, and he gets to somehow now pick. A lot here. Like right, and he's now somehow gets to pick
Sirhan,
the defense attorney.
I
could be wrong. Let me look this up. I could be wrong.
So he did have.
Hold that thought, please, sir. Hold that. Let me look this up real quick.
Pull over! No, it's a cardigan, but thanks for noticing.
So what were you saying, sir? I'm going to look up these details here while
in the chat. He says you're right. Uncle Ted says you're correct, JJ.
Oh, nice. So what were you saying there, Jacob J? You got this defense attorney. I heard you talking about that on Already Dead, sir.
There was 3 defense attorneys that he got appointed to. So, I hadn't heard anything about the woman.
Knew this one,
Naster. Yes.
Yeah, I heard you talking on Already Dead about that one.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I think she's out.
So if she's out, that is incredible because she is actually somebody that I was actually impressed that she actually took the case because she is like she's a lawyer that was going to represent a case that was going to deal with me and my family. So, I mean, she's somebody that I would have trusted, with a case dealing with me and my family. And so I was incredibly impressed that she was, appointed to this. If she's off, then I mean, it is 100% set in stone, spooky, glowy shit's going, period.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
When you start fooling with due process rights, and that other guy that they got, Michael Burt, he's an interesting character,
right?
Yeah, dude. So it's the totality, it's the sequences and chronology of these events. It's the Phil Lyman, and time again.
Right.
It's the due process rights. It's the lack of evidence. It's the laser tag Ted level of evidence. These are the matters that concern me on these. It's again, Charlie Kirk did not get shot. There's no evidence of it in that video and the snuff film. We did not see that's an exit wound of anything, and there was no entrance wound. Again, I was willing to believe possibly a deflection because you see a bunch of action on his shirt. That looks like a squib to me. You know what I mean? The squib, the action of the squib on the shirt.
Right.
It's not a gunshot wound. Again, that would be an exit wound, but again, it ain't a 30-06. And again, there ain't no blood. Not even in the aftermath, not on the people. No one took a defensive posture. You know how abnormal that is for especially a high-priced security team to not take a. No one took it. One guy didn't take a defensive posture.
Right.
Not what, dude. I'll pull my gun out real fast, dude. You mean you don't got to shoot nobody? I'll pull my gun out real quick, dude.
Right. Right. And did anyone else notice the timing of the audience? Because you hear the shot go off, right? And then it takes a second for the whole audience to drop. And I just thought that was weird because if you watch any other shooting video, like people drop immediately, right? But it literally you hear the shot and then it's a noticeable time where everyone just sits there not moving and then they drop. I just thought that was weird.
I like
from
where
day
your brain
one.
was at. We also don't see hundreds of high definition videos or evidence of the event. We get a couple Patterson Gimlin footage from the FBI and other footage from the alleged spectators. This guy has the best footage. He was live streaming. His son goes there. He's a descendant of General Joseph Bartholomew. You ain't got to take my word for it.
I don't like to get into these subjects on the show because it's your personal life and your personal business, but you have publicly told us that you were born and raised as a Mormon, not Jewish, as people have accused you of being, right?
Yeah, Bartholomew or of English descent is my understanding. My mom's really big into the genealogy, so I'm sure I can get a more solid answer on that question. But there's a General George Bartholomew. I think there's a Joseph Bartholomew we're traced back in Massachusetts.
Well, he's slightly right. His forefather is General Joseph Bartholomew. You got him mixed up. His father was the other one guy. So, weird. Society of Cincinnati, huh? Typical.
Does it say he's from Topsfield? Because that would be great.
Yeah, so he has a lot of descendants in the Mormon stuff. It mentions that down here. They joined during the Nauvoo portions. The Nauvoo portions. Yeah, it mentions he's got, here we go. His descendants are now living throughout the United States. His daughter Martha and several of his grandchildren were some of the earliest converts to Mormonism.
Interesting.
Yep. Again, Society of Cincinnati business. We got Kirk connections to that, his wife's connections. The only person that has, why did Turning Point USA not they've live streamed every event?
Right. I mean, so I have heard supposedly that it was being live streamed. People from TPUSA have said that it was being live streamed, but no,
I heard they did
no proof of that. So, I don't know.
What are your thoughts, Heidi, on all the ongoing Society of Cincinnati business? Because again, it seems like one of these factions that we're identifying here is if the society, as we've documented, you and I have, the society being an offshoot, Mormonism being an offshoot of society, including Joseph Smith and a lot of the other founding folks like, General Bartholomew and gang. We're seeing this play out now. Is this a faction within the society, regular society, and then this Mormon offshoot? And then are there other offshoots within that umbrella within the Mormon offshoot? Right.
Well,
that's kind of how I'm looking at it. What are your thoughts?
I mean, there's so many offshoots in general, but the number one The number one is the top who's running all the money and the Satanic LDS Church, which people don't know about. So, I mean, we do, but there's not a lot of exposure on that. And they'll just say you're crazy. And every time I see it going back to Massachusetts, where we know that Joseph Smith Sr. was from and his father was from in that area of Topsfield, it is well documented. And they were no dumb farmers. They were selectmen. And Captain Samuel Smith, I'm sure, probably knew this guy. I'm going to try and find out.
So what you're saying is this is a dispute and feud that's been going on a very long time.
Oh, yeah. 100. Well, it plays into the witchcraft story of the Salem, Massachusetts witches. And it goes far, a lot farther than I knew the last time I talked to you. Today, I did an episode with, a historian from the witchcraft trials. We talked about it, and I found that Joseph Smith's great-great-grandpa, Captain Samuel Smith, and the older one, okay, his friends were the Goulds, Gould. Well, they're 100% involved in the witchcraft stuff. And so all of a sudden,
Joseph's a Gould.
Priscilla Gould.
Mary Gould. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And he ends up marrying the daughters after he gives testimony in behalf for this Gould guy, right? He's got a land dispute and he's on the side of the Putnams, and nobody cares about this. Nobody cares about Salem. Like, what? Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, we got to do a Salem show, man, because Bill Colby's family goes back there. Jack Parsons' ancestors go back there, both through the society. We got a lot of connections to Salem right now, and
it will happen.
Modern day event, I would argue.
Today's Salem witch one dropped today, and the second part, more about Mormons, will drop on, Sunday. So
nice. Well, on the topic of the Lymans in the Salem witchcraft, ma'am, we get one of the most, the standard text that tells about the event is done by the Lyman family. Typical. We live in a Muppet world here, ma'am and sir.
It is a joke at this point, isn't it?
It is, man. It is. I got two more clips from Candace here. We'll bring this in for landing and let y'all provide some closing commentary here. And I do appreciate y'all, both of y'all and the folks at the interwebs, for joining us here tonight to get a little GCD on these matters of the Mormon mothership here with the Exmo fellow followers of that mothership, myself and Heidi Luv and Jacob J. How dare you try to out JJ me, sir?
Well, I got to try.
Just to be clear, and to reiterate, 19 minutes before the shooter walks across, he had just pulled into the driveway. Phil Lyman pulled into the driveway. He says that he saw Charlie Kirk that day. We're going to get to that. Also, when he says, he grew up there and his family owns, we were able to determine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 homes right there. Incredible. Okay. Absolutely incredible. And that his little press tour, obviously now you're explaining your car was in the driveway. So the issue's close to him. That kind of makes sense. Then he went on to Alex Jones and spoke about where he was when the shot rang out. And what's and I'm laughing here because it's kind of absurd. He kind of sort of blames it on these two random goth girls, maybe. He's kind of implying there were these girls that were wearing black, and maybe they should be taken a look at further. Take a listen.
Just yesterday, someone comes in and says, we've got video. He came off the roof. He came up here to the parking lot, got in the car with an individual, and they drove away. Well, that's not the story that came, so that he escaped another route. And there are people who are coordinating this thing. I do not believe that 30-06 that they showed recovered in the bushes was ever on the roof. I think it was in the bushes to start with. And now I'm not saying that Tyler Robinson wasn't on the roof. I'm not saying he didn't pull a trigger. I know I was in very, very close proximity. So another interesting thing, like I say, I left the front of the stage. I wanted to meet some of my friends and bring him down front. So I was clear at the east end, and I heard this loud boom. I heard this loud bang. And I turned around and I'm looking what was that? What was that? And pretty soon some people started, running. Everyone was trying to
So that's one of his tales, right? And that's what he's telling there. He went on a tour, but he's telling different tales in every stop. I'm like, what is this dude doing? Is this on purpose? Because, of course, he goes to visit Alex Jones.
Phil, thanks for joining us, first of all. But I saw a picture. I saw a picture of you with Charlie Kirk, and it looks like you were maybe right before he went on stage. Is this just minutes before this happened?
Yeah, no, I was basically backstage, and when he came out and was throwing the hats, I was there. I was standing next to stage, and I would have been there when the shooting took place, but I needed to go meet some of my friends, and I didn't want to just hang around. So there's a part of me that's glad that I wasn't in close proximity, and part of me that feels bad that I wasn't there, just in some form of moral, presence and support. It's such a tragic thing.
When I combine those clips, I'm kind of unclear as to where he was exactly when the shots rang out, if he was close or if he felt bad that he wasn't close. Anyways, he went onto Instagram that night as Tiffany was prepping her Good Morning America hit, I suppose. And he speaks further about what he was doing back onto campus and what exactly he remembers. Take a listen. Again, this is on September 10th, and it's around 11:30 p.m. at night.
Hey, it's September 10th, 2025, and I was just heading back from Salt Lake to Blanding. I'm getting a very late start. It's about 11:30 at night, and I wanted to swing back by UVU campus where Charlie Kirk was killed today and see if I could let a few of the police officers know how much I appreciate the work they're doing, see if there's some college students here that I could rub shoulders with, more for my benefit than for theirs. But what I really wanted to share was I was very close this morning where Charlie Kirk was at, met him backstage, and we talked for a moment before he went on stage, and I was backstage as he started speaking, then decided to go up top, and I went up to the top, and ironically was very close to where the shooter was. Apparently the shot was very loud, and I determined pretty quickly that whoever it was on the roof, and it was a 200-yard kill shot.
Where was he? I don't know. I find this to be a little weird, but look, let's be clear. By no means conclusive of anything other than perhaps a strange coincidence. And maybe this is why he feels so impassioned and wants to keep speaking about it. Also, he's a gubernatorial candidate. Makes sense. This would be a political moment to show that you're a leader. And look, life is not exactly an Agatha Christie novel, right? Where the guilty party somehow inserts himself into the investigation. So I park that aside. I keep pushing. And
are you sure about that? Because everything keeps coming up, Phil.
So I always found it odd that he was able to talk to Charlie before.
Dude, he's everywhere, dude.
Right.
He's going back
everywhere and nowhere.
Back and forth.
It's like a ghost in the machine.
And we see him directing that incident with that kid who gets shut down.
Right.
And that kid's obviously doing his performance before and after, you know what I mean? More than once. I call him the Gene Rosen of this event, if you understand that reference.
Makes sense.
It's a deep cut.
Yeah. That's like I said, he's the ghost in the machine, He's everywhere and nowhere all at once.
Well, and even then, now we get into that matter of his cousin / nephew, old Shaner Broderick.
I don't know why he's asking me questions about this investigation. And I'm like, yeah, this is weird. This is very weird. So then I'm like, I'm honing in here. I'm like, what's going on? I feel like he knows something at the very least. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I feel. And I begin actually searching through our tips box for anything related to Phil Lyman. Maybe somebody else noticed something or knew something or he said something. And lo and behold, very early on, someone just messaged us and said, hey, you should probably ask more questions about Phil Lyman, because every time I look into this investigation locally, him and his family members are popping up. And then that person tells me that his nephew had sort of done this public tour, Phil Lyman's nephew did this public tour saying that he was going to walk the same route that the shooter walked near his grandmother's house, and that they found, you guys remember this, they found the Converse footprint nearby his grandma's house. And he presented a map. This is it. This is actually from his Instagram. He presents this map, and his nephew's name is Shane. And this was all public. I'm only looking at things publicly. And let's just look at some of these posts from nephew Shane. I mean, first and foremost, he's with his friends. Said, I took my friends to my grandma's house tonight, and we retraced his steps, and we took pictures in the exact place that the security cameras caught him. I've been through this new experience for the last few days. I'm still very glad to have attended and to support Charlie Kirk and to see him. The last pic shows Converse brand footprints. And then he does hashtags, and here are him and the three friends. And by the way, I'm looking at the front on the right, and I'm like, I don't know. I'd like to know who that is at the very least. And I'd like to know who everybody in this photo is. This is just interesting. Like, you guys are in the staircase and posting side by sides. Like, they put these side by side photos of them in the staircase. And I just was like, I need to just know more about you. And I need to know more about these two individuals who I couldn't find on his friends list. And they certainly hadn't liked the photo, or else I would have messaged them directly.
Spoiler alert, one of them is Austrian.
Right. One thing I would like to point out, that was not a Converse imprint.
Oh,
that was something.
One thing I like to point out is these people are all Muppets. Some people are like, well, who's the good guys? Who's the bad guys? We're seeing a lot of psyops play out in factional divides and factional warfare bullshits, but they're all Muppets.
Right. Right.
She's working with Spencer Cox's campaign, it seems. They're working against those guys. She's spinning bullshit about an autopsy to prove it. You know what I mean?
Right. And then also, I mean, her merch is weird. It's just weird. Candace Investigation Agency. Like, I get the pun. It's not a good one. And it's just weird that you would make your merch logo the CIA logo. I mean, isn't that a bit on the nose? Like, come on, you know?
That's what I'm saying. Let's say, for example, she works for ONI. Well, that would be something you would do. If you work for ONI, you would roast your competition, or the Army intelligence, because they're involved in all this muppetry.
Right. Well, and Air Force would be all over it as well, because I mean, Utah's a massive Air Force.
Let's not forget about the NSA, sir.
Yes, sir. NSA.
They're up in that mix too. They're involved in a lot of tomfoolery.
We also, I mean, out here, because we have an international airport as well, also a national airport just 5 minutes away from UVU. You know, there's everybody out here. You know, it's wild. It like Utah just glows. Yes, yes. I mean, look at how that head glows.
he's a real Muppet, isn't he? Well, again, I thank you all both for joining me on these matters of Deseret News and Deseret Updates. And we didn't get to the prophet and seer overlord of the mothership, but perhaps we'll do that again in the future, convening for a future Exmo General Conference.
Oh, yes.
From fellow followers of the mothership. Do you all have any closing statements there? Any plugs, closing statements you can offer? Heidi, ma'am, would you kick it off?
Sure. I'm Heidi Luv of the Unfiltered Rise. I'm everywhere podcasts are served. If you're watching me on here, you're missing out. I drop 2 more shows, usually a week, on Spotify. My Patreon also has 2 extra shows a month. And find me on X and on IG at Unfiltered Rise. Thank you so much, JJ. Thank you so much also for having me on always and thinking of me for the wonderful Exmo conference.
I couldn't do it without you, ma'am. I thoroughly enjoy these conversations and the ideas you bring to my brain hole. And as always, we've convened here. I'm leaving with some new details, which I appreciate that and respect that from you both. And obviously look forward to a future conversation here, ma'am. And we'll be in touch for sure to talk some more of these matters and of that Salem witch trials for sure. That's been of a great interest.
Yes. And thank you also, Jacob J, not JJ, not the JJ.
He's doing a good job at it, ma'am. He's doing a good job.
Yeah.
Now, I got your show notes and the links in the show notes. And Jacob J, sir, the other JJ. Thank you again for your time as well, sir. Do you have any closing thoughts, statements, baking recipes you'd like to offer?
No baking recipes, at least at this time. Although in the future, I'm sure I would like to drop one. You know, it's I'm not much of a baker. I'm more of a cooker, but.
Dude, I love type 2 diabetes stuff, so you let me know.
You got it. So yeah, honestly, this all just glows, you know, and I'm honestly kind of sick of it at this point, you know, like, not that I want to stop talking about it. That's not what I'm saying, but it's just so on the nose and it's so sickening because it's so blatant. And because they think we're so stupid, like, it just irritates me so much, because that's one of my biggest pet peeves is when people underestimate my intelligence, you know, and it
you
just
think I'm dumb here?
me.
Think I'm dumb here, mothership?
Right, right. So, you know, I'm just getting sick of it. It's just like, come on, like, I don't know. I'm just tired of these people acting this way, you know, and that's why I'm glad we have these conversations, because it is going to expose them. And I plan on exposing as much as I possibly can. So I want to thank you for having me on again. As far as plugs, anywhere Rise to Liberty is where you can find me. I'm most active on Telegram, Instagram, and Twitter or X. And you can also find me at Beware the Mockingbird on Substack, which is like my home base. I actually just barely launched at the beginning of this show a brand new t-shirt on my store, which is risetoliberty.store. It is a new mind control t-shirt. It's got a really cool mind control design on the front that I made myself, and it's got Rise to Liberty on the back and everything. Just launched a hoodie and a long sleeve shirt because it's about to get cold. So make sure and go check those out. Pick one up. And beyond that, I've got a show coming out. I was on the Free Thought Project that will be coming out Monday, and then I'll actually be having a show here with Heidi coming up here soon. So be on the lookout for that. And other than that, just keep an eye out. I've got this Charlie Kirk PSYOP article coming out. It'll most likely be out by Sunday. So it explains all the Charlie Kirk PSYOP stuff. So
nice. Well, I'll have that link in the show notes, sir. I believe I already do. And here's the store one as well. I'll have that in the show notes. And definitely look out for that one, folks. The interwebs, look out for Heidi's new one she's dropped there on the Salem witch trials. That's a very interesting topic. Also, watch out for lasers.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
Folks, they got dead twice. Let's be honest. Got to stay vigilant. So, I thank you all, the folks at the interwebs, for joining me here tonight to get a little GCD. I thank you, Jacob J, sir, and Heidi Luv, ma'am, for joining me here to get a little GCD as well. Look forward to our future XMO fellow followers of the mothership conversations of general conference Friday, because I'm a smart ass. And our, what day / night and or in between would be complete without our channel. I salute you for your dedication to being wrong, and I am motivated by your activities. So, your dedication to being wrong, that is. So, and on that note, any closing last thoughts or alibis?
Honestly, I just got to give it up to our channel. That's great. Right. Love seeing you in the chat, man.
Very motivated. Keeps me motivated. You know what I mean? Right. But thanks again, JJ. It was a lot of fun. Absolutely. And look forward to next time. Thank y'all. Maybe.
Well, that's it. That's the show here, folks. So the next time you're out on the town, visiting your local watering holes, or perhaps just meandering around, and you hear the unmistakable sounds of metal clanking, and you spot signs of a disturbance, but check your six. Look in that garbage can, 'cause you never can tell. The GCDs may be loose in your town.